If you've ever spent your night praying only to have those prayers answered, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Monday, January 12th edition. That's a Victory Monday, a gigantic Victory Monday. We're back, and I'll tell you what, this year has started off with a bang in the financial markets. We saw it last week, and we got another big piece of news last night, and that is going to affect the market here today. So we're going to take a look at all of that. We've got bank earnings starting up. We've got movers starting up. It is going to be another full week here. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Victory Monday edition. Oh, that sounds so good. For January 12th, 2026, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. I don't know. I hope that it was half as good as mine. I can tell you that much. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. And yep, you guessed it. We've got another crazy week ahead of us. It's looking like, based on the news flow, we're going to break it down. And don't forget, folks, don't forget, your feedback was heard. Our show has been extended for 30 minutes, and that starts today. Let's go ahead and welcome everybody back here. Angelito is first here today. Good morning, Angelito. Welcome. Early bird gets the worm as always. Angelito's no different. Zach, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Kelly, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Brian, good morning. Subpoenas for the Fed renovations was not on my bingo card. Mine either, even though Luna was talking about that back in June or July of 2025. Didn't think it was going to come like this. Neither was the Bears comeback. That was on my bingo card. You haven't been watching the games, Bri. LOL. Good to see you. Good morning. Big Hurt, good morning. Welcome back. Corey, good morning. Welcome back. Tom, good morning. It's good to see you again. First Bears playoff victory in 15 years, one step closer to the Super Bowl. Amen, brother. Amen. Fuss Monsters, good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. How about them Bears? Jim, good morning. Cloud9, indeed. I have been walking around on air pretty much all day yesterday. And again, today, I actually woke up in my bed and I was floating like in Ghostbusters. It was pretty crazy. Good morning, Jim. Good to see you again. Brian, I'm sorry, man. Keep waiting, I guess. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Big Bear Hug, good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you again. Welcome back. Producers locked in, getting ready to help us every day. Thank you, producer. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. H&H Tactical. Good morning. Welcome back. Best Life. Good morning. Welcome back. Lost Penny. Good morning. Welcome back. Azrar. Good morning. It's good to see you again. Marty. Good morning. Welcome back. Zabeth. Good morning. Matthew. Good morning. Bear Down Indeed. Neville. Good morning. Welcome back. Durkus. Good morning. Big Bees. Good morning. Day Trader. Good morning, Day Trader. Man, this countdown is great. I used to keep having to refresh to get the start of the stream. Hey, more user feedback that ends up being great. Stop me if you've heard that before, Day Trader. Glad we can accommodate. Johnny, good morning. It's great to see you again. Welcome back. Just passing through. Good morning. J-Bell, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Ed, good morning. JJ, good morning. Navy Dave, good morning. Thank you for your service. Gary, good morning. Good work, Ryan. And I was integral in that victory. LOL. Good morning, Gary. It's good to see you again. Catherine, good morning. Welcome back. Astro K, good morning. Welcome back. Work Life, good morning. Welcome back. Brent, it's good to see you as always. My man, Laura, good morning. Kelly, good morning. Duke Sir, good morning. Marionetta, good morning. Good to see you again. What do you got on your radar here today? Yasin, how you doing, Yasin? You have a good weekend, just like me? Welcome back, brother. Abdul, good morning. Welcome back. Sel, good morning. Jonathan, good morning. Richard, good morning. This is turning into my favorite pre-market show. Awesome. Let us know what we can do to push it over the finish line, Abdul. That would be, we're always looking to get better here, and we appreciate your comments. Austin, good morning. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Tehran Timmy, good morning. Go Bears. Okay, I'll take it. DT, good morning. And Hakeem, good morning. What's Gucci? our health. That's what's Gucci. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures under pressure ahead of Monday's open on the back of the Federal Reserve news. S&P futures down 0.52%, Dow futures down 0.71%, and the NASDAQ also down 0.71%. Now let's take a look at some cues from last session. Materials, utilities, and consumer discretionary stocks posted the largest gains on Friday, while healthcare and financials bucked the trend to close lower. For the week, the S&P 500 rose 1%, while the Dow and NASDAQ surged 2.3% and 1.9%, respectively. Tensions flared up at the Federal Reserve after Chair Jerome Powell said on Sunday that the Department of Justice had threatened the central bank with a criminal indictment over his testimony before Congress relating to its building renovation costs. This marks major escalation tensions between President Trump and the central bank, although those subpoenas were originated with Luna, the congresswoman. On Friday, non-farm payrolls increased by 50,000 in December, mostly unchanged from November's downwardly revision of 56,000. Gain and slightly below expectations for 60,000, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics on Friday. The U.S. Supreme Court did not issue a ruling on Friday on President Trump's sweeping global tariffs. This trades as traders price in a 75% chance that the Supreme Court will ultimately rule in favor of Trump's tariffs. We got news that that decision is due Wednesday, which throws yet another big item into the cog for this week. Now, we do have some stocks in focus for you. The first one is going to be Vistra. This is ticker VST. This was higher by 0.69% in the pre-market on Monday after it signed a 20-year nuclear power deal with Meta. The next stock on our list is going to be Alibaba Group. That's ticker BABA. Alibaba rose 4.44% after its cloud's flagship Qwen series became the world's most widely used open source AI system, surpassing 700 million downloads on the Hugging Face platform as of January. Tempus AI is our next stock. Ticker here is TEM. That jumped 8.12% after it reported a record $1.1 billion in total contract value and approximately 126% net revenue retention for 2025, driven by expanded data agreements with over 70 pharmaceutical and biotech clients. The next stock on our list is going to be XPeng. The ticker is XPEV. That gained 2.75% after unveiling its global 2026 P7 Plus flagship and new VLA 2.0 autonomous driving AI, while reporting 126% delivery growth in 2025, underscoring its rapid international expansion and technological scale. The last stock on our list is going to be Boot Barn Holdings, and the ticker on this one is ticker BOOT, BOOT. Shares were down 0.37% despite reporting preliminary third quarter net sales of $705.6 million, which represented growth 16% year over year. All right, let's take a look at the chart, see where we start this week. We had talked last week about really just kind of drifting higher. We did set some new all-time highs. We really didn't have any type of push or follow through on that new upside move. Some of the days were low volume. And then obviously today with some of the news over the weekend, the markets were lower here this morning. Now, if I zoom in to the recent area that we've been at, really, this is probably going to come down to the trend line today, and stop me if you've heard that before. As a reminder, this trend line originates from the 100-day moving average test and low that occurred on Friday, November 21st. It got retested again on Wednesday, December 17th, and it looks like now we're setting up for a potential another test of this trend line. We'll see if the third time's the charm to break it and move lower, or if this sets up for another viable bounce play off of this support area. If I put my cursor just kind of over the trend line here, and I just kind of estimate the price for today's session, got that at 687.79. Well, if we zoom in, you can see that the SPY came down to about 688-ish, that area in there, so maybe only a point or so away from the low. We'll see if that gets retested here in the regular session. So first spot here, I would have to say, is probably going to be this 688. Maybe we hold it. Maybe we peak beneath it. That would actually line up with the trend line here. It is also worth noting that we have several areas right beneath this that could also catch the price. The 20-day moving average is at 685.21, and the volume point of control from our volume profile chart here going back to about the fall of last year, right around Thanksgiving, that's at 683.25. If we back this out a little bit to go back to the summer of 2025, you can see that that doesn't really even change. 684 seems to be a pretty significant support level as well. So today, I'm looking at 3 downside levels. 688, that's represented by our trend line. 685, that is just about our 20-day moving average. And then also 684, which is our volume point of control from this sideways move that we've had here on the SPY. As far as upside levels go, we'll see if we turn it around here. But the next one that I have is going to be the all-time high. Got that at 695.31. If we really start making a run, then we can start looking at the bottom end of this trend line, which is going to be above 700. Really, until we actually test and close above 700, I don't know that that's anything that we really need to pay attention to just yet. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. Mohammed El Arian expects the frantic start of the year to continue. He appears to be correct on that, as 2026 begins with sharp contrast between escalating geopolitical instability and remarkably resilient capital markets. He observes that investors have largely shrugged off significant risks involving Venezuela and Iran. By the way, we might see some more escalation with Iran this week. We'll see how that shakes out. Propelling the S&P 500 to new records and fueling the busiest start to the year for bond deals ever. El Arian emphasized the world is firmly in a geoeconomic area where national security now exerts an overwhelming influence on economic outcomes. He highlights a confusing economic landscape where robust GDP growth, potentially exceeding 5.4% pace, coexists with cooling job creation, illustrating a troubling, quote, decoupling of employment from growth, end quote. Looking ahead, El Arian anticipates a flood of fresh data that will test the market's optimism. Key questions include whether inflation trends justify the Federal Reserve's view that it's, quote, well-positioned, end quote, to keep rates steady, and if economic momentum is finally broadening beyond AI-related activities. While the services sector shows strength, he warns that political and security spillover effects are becoming just as critical as commercial fundamentals. We do have some economic news coming here today, or coming here this week. I beg your pardon. Here is some of that data. On Monday, Richmond Fed President Tom Barkin will speak at 8. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic will speak at 12:30, and New York Fed President John Williams will speak at 6, all times Eastern. On Tuesday, December's NFIB Optimism Index will be out by 6 a.m. December's headline and core U.S. CPI data will be released at 8:30, and October's U.S. new home sales data will be released at 10. St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musalem will speak at 10. December's U.S. budget deficit will be out by 2, and Richmond Fed President Tom Barkin will speak at 4. On Wednesday, November's delayed report for the U.S. retail sales and producer price index will be released by 8:30. October's delayed U.S. business inventories and December's existing home sales will be out by 10. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic will speak at 12. Fed Governor Miron will speak at 12:30, and Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari will speak at 11. The New York Fed President John Williams at 2:10, and the Federal Reserve Beige Book will be released at 2. On Thursday, the initial jobless claims data for the week ending January 10 will be out by 8:30 a.m., along with November's delayed U.S. import prices, January's Empire State Manufacturing Survey, and Philadelphia Fed's Manufacturing Survey. Fed Governor Michael Barr will speak at 9:15. Richmond Fed President Tom Barkin will speak at 12:40. And Kansas City Fed President Jeff Schmid will speak at 1:30. On Friday, December's industrial production and capacity utilization data will be released by 9:15 a.m. Richmond Fed President Tom Barkin will speak at 11, and Federal Reserve Vice Chairman Philip Jefferson will speak at 3:30. Now that I've given you all of that here, just know there will be a quiz on this later on. I kid. All right, we also have a poll up in the chat here. What is your take on the Department of Justice subpoena and the threat of indictment against Fed Chair Powell? Please go ahead and vote in our poll. Okay, one of the first stocks that I want to cover here, or the news regarding to one of those stocks that's moving, is actually going to be Tempest. This is ticker TEM. Number one, this has been a pretty good stock for our group here, as we've traded this a lot. But we have some preliminary results. The stock rose on Monday after the company released preliminary fourth quarter and full year 2025 results on Sunday. For 2025, the company reported a revenue of around $1.27 billion, which reflects about an 83% growth year over year, and including roughly 30% organic growth, excluding Ambry. By segment, diagnostic revenue reached about $955 million. That's up roughly 111% year over year, led by oncology test volume growth of around 26% and hereditary testing growth of approximately 29%. Also, data and applications revenue totaled about $316 million, representing roughly 31% year-over-year growth, driven by an estimated 38% increase in insights, which is data licensing. Also, Tempest AI sees quarterly revenue of about $367 million. That's up 83% year-over-year, with diagnostics revenue of about $266 million. That's plus 121% year-over-year, driven by oncology volume growth of about 29% and hereditary testing of about 23%. Moreover, data application revenue stood at $100 million. That was up 25%, and insights revenue increasing around 68% when excluding the impact of AstraZeneca's warrant recorded in the fourth quarter of 2024. As of December 31st, 2025, the company reported a total contract value of over $1.1 billion. Throughout the year, Tempest secured data agreements with more than 70 clients, including leading pharmaceutical companies such as AstraZeneca, GlaxoSmithKline, Bristol Myers, Pfizer, Novartis, Merck, AbbVie, Daiichi Sankyo Company, Eli Lilly, Boehringer Ingelheim International, Incyte, Les Laboratories Servier, Aspera, and Whitehawk Therapeutics. Huge companies there. Alongside, Tempest reported net revenue retention of approximately 126% for 2025. Eric Lefkofsky, founder and CEO of Tempest, stated, quote, "Within diagnostics, year-over-year volume growth of our genomics or oncology accelerated for the third consecutive quarter, hitting the highest unit growth rate we have seen in years." He goes on to say, "We enter 2026 in an exceptionally strong position with both our main business accelerating in growth and delivering the financial leverage inherent in our platform. With AI as the catalyst across all of our products, we could not be more excited for 2026. Tempest plans to report fourth quarter earnings and full year 2025 financial results in February of this year." Now, just going back to Pro here real quick and pulling up a chart for Tempest, here's what we're looking at. The numbers here are really good. Remember, Tempest has been a good trade for us. One of the reasons that I wanted to bring this up is, first of all, you can see that the upside trend line that we had identified here, this did really, really well for a potential sale. Or potential sales on swing trades. Now it's up 12.5% here to 74.50, closed at 66.27. That's notable because our 200-day moving average was at 68.34. And the 20-day moving average, which has been in a downtrend since November of last year? Yeah, even earlier than that, October of last year. That 20-day moving average was at 65.5. We basically held that Now, with the news of Tempest's performance here, now we're popping above the 200-day and the 50-day. So as far as key levels for Tempest here, let's see if it can hold 71 and a quarter, and better still, if it can hold that 68.34, which represents the 200-day moving average. So I guess I would turn to the group here and say, do we think Tempest represents a good swing or investment at these levels? It's nice that it was able to pull back to the 200. You can see what it's done. When it's pulled back to the 200, it's done a pretty good job of using this as support. So perhaps there's more upside here in Tempest. Now, next here, Taiwan Semiconductor. I know the AI trade is just absolutely huge. The AI theme definitely not going anywhere. Taiwan Semiconductor is heading for a record quarter. The problem? Everybody on Wall Street seems to know about that. Taiwan Semiconductor continues to benefit from surging demand for advanced chips as investors and analysts look ahead to another strong earnings report. It's poised to deliver a record fourth quarter as demand for artificial intelligence infrastructures continues to fuel growth. Analysts expect the contract chip maker to report a 27% jump in fourth quarter net profit to 475.2 billion new Taiwanese dollars, or 15.02 billion US dollars. For the 3 months that end December 31st. Reuters reported that on Monday, citing an LSEG smart estimate compiled from 19 different analysts. The chipmaker will provide guidance for the first quarter and full year on Thursday. So remember, earnings week's really kind of starting here with the banks, but Taiwan Semiconductor also has their report scheduled for Thursday. Any profit above 452.3 billion new Taiwanese dollars would mark the company's highest ever quarterly net income and extend its streak to 8 consecutive quarters of profit growth. Strong utilization of 3 nanometer capacity underpinned the revenue surge supported by Apple's iPhone 7 lineup using the A19 chip. Galen Zhang, senior research manager at IDC, told Reuters. Zhang added that IDC now expects Taiwan Semiconductor's revenue to grow 25 to 30% in 2026, up from a prior 22 to 26% forecast, driven by booming demand for AI server accelerators and rising contributions from 2 nanometer technology. He said the AI server accelerator market could grow 78% year over year in 2026. So remember, 2026, although we saw some pretty outsized gains in 2025, we are likely to see them continue here in 2026. Wall Street analysts expect Taiwan Semiconductor to extend its momentum as it prepares to report full fourth quarter earnings. Analysts have raised their price forecasts, pointing to Taiwan Semiconductor's central role in the AI hardware race and tightening its grip on advanced chip capacity. Goldman Sachs lifted its forecast by 35% to 2,330 new Taiwanese dollars, citing projected 30% revenue growth in 2026, while JP Morgan expects operating margins to climb to a 3-year high above 50%, that report per Bloomberg. So Taiwan Semiconductor, it's been a massive stock here. It looks to continue. We are going to get that report later this week on Thursday. Now, we do have a guest here this morning, but we'll get to him in just a couple of minutes. I do have a couple of other stories that I wanted to really quickly go through here. Next one here is going to be on Walmart. They're expanding their AI push by partnering with Google Gemini for integration. Walmart has announced a partnership with Alphabet's Google Gemini, which will enable customers to easily discover and purchase products from its store and warehouse club, Sam's Club. Now, the first question that I have for the group here is, who needs AI help discovering what to buy? Is that a need that anyone has out there, or is this company just trying to meet needs that don't exist yet? I don't go to a store without a list of things that I'm looking for. The last thing I want is AI to tell me what to buy unless I ask it specifically. Walmart and Google unveiled the collaboration at the National Retailers Federation Big Show, an annual industry conference in New York City on Sunday. The new feature will first launch in the U.S. before expanding internationally. The financial terms and launch date, however, were not disclosed. Walmart's incoming CEO, John Furner, and Google CEO, Sundar Pichai, made the announcement This is part of Walmart's strategy to keep up with the increasing use of AI chatbots by customers to save time and seek inspiration. And this, I suppose, is what I'm really trying to hit at here. How much time does it actually save? Do you need inspiration on what you need to buy? The collaboration between Walmart and Google is a significant step in the retail industry's adoption of AI technology. This development aligns with the broader trend of AI's growing influence in retail. AI has become the most influential middleman in retail, turbocharging Black Friday shopping and shaping consumer habits. Adobe estimates AI-driven traffic jumped 805% year over year as tools like Amazon's Rufus and ChatGPT increasingly help shoppers find the best deals. So I turn it over to the chat again. How many of you used specific AI tools to help you shop over this last holiday season? I don't even know what Amazon's Rufus is, and I've never asked ChatGPT what it is I should or shouldn't buy. Meanwhile, in another development, Microsoft had launched a suite of agentic AI tools aimed at automating various retail tasks across merchandising, marketing, store operations, and fulfillment, aiming to improve efficiency and shopper relevance. Now, it is worth noting here, we're going to spend some more time talking about some of these rankings here because this was designed by Tim to make this even easier here. Walmart, really good momentum ranking, very, very high quality ranking, and actually that value's ticking up a little bit as well. On that note, Home Depot goes all in on agentic AI with Google Cloud. So here's another one. Home Depot on Sunday disclosed its expansion of its strategic partnership with Alphabet's Google Cloud. The partnership includes introducing agentic AI tools that deliver real-time expert guidance to both homeowners and professional customers, including contractors, renovators, and remodelers. This right here, to me, makes a lot more sense than the Walmart story we just talked about. There are a number of times where I'm trying to do a weekend project, and I have a couple of questions about what materials, fasteners, or items I should use to complete said job. I could absolutely see where this would be a huge benefit. Using Google Cloud's Gemini models and Gemini Enterprise for customer experience, the retailer is creating a seamless, personalized, AI-first experience accessible anywhere. Going forward, the Home Depot will extend these AI capabilities to new agentic shopping experiences via Google Search's AI mode and the Gemini app in coming months. By leveraging Google's Cloud AI, the Home Depot is bringing its more home improvement expertise directly to customers through enhancements to its Magic Apron Assistant, AI-powered product list builders for pros, and new tools for stores and customer support. Jordan Brogy, Executive Vice President of Customer Experience and President of Online, the Home Depot, commented, "By building on Google's Cloud AI solutions, we're putting Orange Apron expertise in the pocket of every customer and creating an AI experience that is personalized, contextual, and available wherever the customer is, whether it's in the home, the job site, or in the aisles of our stores." Jose Gomes, Vice President, Retail and Consumer Packaged Goods at Google Cloud, added, quote, "The Home Depot is leading in the agentic commerce area and using AI to deliver real-world value. By integrating Google's Cloud AI, the Home Depot is ensuring that customer interactions, whether from a pro on a job site or a shopper in the aisle, are powered by the most sophisticated intelligence available today." In December of 2025, Home Depot reiterated its fiscal 2025 expectations, including about a 3% total sales growth and slightly positive comparable sales on a comparable 52-week basis. On the bottom line, Home Depot now expects adjusted diluted EPS to decline about 5% from $15.24. For fiscal 2026, Home Depot outlined a preliminary view that assumes the home improvement market ranges from down 1% to up 1%. We'll see how Home Depot does. This has also been a pretty good stock. Like I said, I understand this a lot more. I'm constantly watching YouTube videos on how to do certain projects. And if I have an AI tool, making sure that I'm doing it correctly and not overlooking something, to me, that actually sounds accretive and additive. All right, folks. As mentioned, we normally do not have a guest on Monday, but we do have a special guest here today. So I am pleased to bring back our friend Steve Schoffstall. Let's go ahead and bring him on. All right, Steve. Good morning. Good to see you again. Steve Schoffstall, managing partner and head of ETFs. That's a new title. Did you get promoted?
I did. Thank you.
Congratulations, Steve, and thank you very much for joining us here today. How you doing this Monday?
Doing well. The 49ers won. It's a good day in the metals markets. Happy to be here.
Okay, good days in the metal market. Hey, my Bears won. Maybe we'll have a rematch of our 49ers Bears. That was one of the games of the year. Maybe we'll see that again in the playoffs here. So really, really good stuff. All right. We brought you on because it is your 1-year anniversary for the SLVR ETF. So congratulations. How's it all going?
It's going great. In the last year, tomorrow's actually the 1 year down to the day. We raised over 730 million in assets. A strong silver market helps, where we saw about 180% increase in silver over the last year. But I think what's really resonating with investors are two things. One is the structural supply and demand deficits that we're seeing in silver and expected to see into the future. And then second is the pure play nature of the ETF. It's really the only ETF of its kind where it invests in pure play silver miners, principally. So those miners that have at least 50% of their revenue or assets tied to mining silver. It also has a physical silver component that's about 17% of the fund. And that pure play notion is something that's unique to this product and an expertise that Sprott brings when we develop this index. And it's been great to see investors really latch onto that and appreciate that.
Yeah, no question. And of course, silver added to the list of critical minerals here in late 2025. That's got to help. We got a number of folks here in the chat saying, hey, the timing's pretty good here. Pretty huge year here for some of these metals. Let me ask you, what do you see going forward here? And not necessarily just for silver, but with any of these other metals?
Yeah, if you look at things like copper, silver, lithium, nickel, there's a lot of favorable tailwinds at the moment. Copper is one we've been talking about for a long time. We have two copper ETFs, COPP, COPJ, both pure play strategies. COPP also gives exposure to physical copper in that fund as well. But the copper market's one that's very interesting because it does have that same favorable outlook that we see across a lot of critical materials, where we're expecting to see production deficits going well into the future. We actually slipped into a deficit most likely at the end of last year, as we saw some production misses because we had some outages, whether it's from mudslides or other issues. Nickel, similar thing. Indonesia produces about 60% of the world's nickel. They're talking production cuts, and in order to boost the prices, lithium is finding a second life in battery energy storage systems. Being used in, I heard you talking about AI before I came on.
Yes,
a lot of these AI hyperscaler data centers are relying on lithium ion batteries. That's also boosted lithium prices here in the near term.
Yeah, no question. And I'm assuming we're going to keep seeing that. One of the things I was discussing, it doesn't look like this is going anywhere here. Multiple industries are adopting all of this, and I would imagine that would increase the demand for all of these metals. We talked a little bit about silver. What about its big brother gold here? What do you see for the year coming up here?
Well, if you look at 2026 and how that started, we see a lot of the same themes, right? We see, a weakening dollar that's, we're still in the process. And since a lot of these commodities are priced in dollars, that tends to be well for performance. We also see geopolitical uncertainty, what's going in Iran, Venezuela. There's discussions around other countries, continuing trade wars. So all this uncertainty has been fueling gold's rise. In addition to that, we see, governments around the world, particularly in emerging markets, China, increasingly turning to gold and adding to their reserves because it can be out of their reach of sanctions, because they can repatriate that gold back inside their own borders. So all these things have been bullish for gold. And, I don't have a crystal ball, but it doesn't look like, at least in the near term, we're going to see a lot of resolution to a lot of these tailwinds that we're seeing.
No, absolutely. And in fact, just today, we're obviously getting news from the weekend that there seems to be some trouble with the Fed or the head there. And that is absolutely increasing some of the uncertainty that you just talked about. Saw gold and silver trading up here again this morning. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to ask you about was uranium. I know we've talked about this a little bit before. We've had news recently about Meta partnering with Oklo and creating their own power plant, this, that, and the other thing. How much of a ramp do you see for uranium? Do you see that becoming even more important in 2026 and beyond?
Yeah, I think 2025 was a bit of an odd year for uranium prices. It was probably one of the metals that we talked about that didn't have a lot of price movement in spot prices, though we did see a lot of movement in the underlying miners. As we're looking forward, uranium is on the critical materials list. A lot of the policies that the U.S. government, Australia, Canada, European Union are taking are to secure those global supply chains of critical materials. Uranium falls squarely into that. We see government policies around trying to across critical materials and uranium included, trying to make it easier to mine uranium, get through that permitting process. We're seeing the U.S. government make investments directly, $80 billion with Westinghouse in order to build some nuclear reactors in the United States. Department of Defense is working on some things. So there's, I'd say, of all the commodities that we track, that's probably one that has by far the most overwhelming medium to long-term outlook. And even in the short term, there's a lot of drivers there as well.
Okay, it looks like you guys are well positioned here. So let me ask you, first of all, great way to have exposure to all of this. We appreciate you coming on and talking about all of these different things. Let me ask you, what's next for Sprott here? Where are you going next to try and help investors and traders alike?
Yeah, so our product development process is maybe a bit more unique than you'd see at other firms. So oftentimes you'll see a lot of companies will throw a lot of things at the wall and hope something sticks and something resonates. At Sprott, we take a very thoughtful approach to product development. First and foremost, everything that we've launched on the ETF side is really tied back to our expertise in metals and mining. That's an area where we continue to be committed to and staying focused as we move forward. And we're constantly scanning the investor outlook and the ETF landscape and see if there's an area where we don't know that there's necessarily a sufficient strategy out there for investors. And if there's a way that we can improve investor outcomes and a commodity that has favorable long-term characteristics, that's an area we'll look. We have a few things that it's probably a little bit early to talk about at the moment, but we'd expect to see some more things coming out in the next few months.
Okay, that sounds really exciting. They call that a tease in the business, Steve, and we'll take that here. I look forward to speaking with you on any of the new products that you have out. I do have one question here from the chat, if you don't mind me taking that here. Kathy's saying, is there an ETF that combines copper, silver, platinum, and gold?
Not that I'm aware of. Our ETFs, are pure play. We do see investors that are interested in individual commodities. Hold several of those funds. Our COPP holds a physical copper component, SLVR physical silver component. We also have physical trust strategies that have access to gold, silver, platinum, palladium, uranium, copper, all those different strategies. So typically what we see as investors will, kind of cobble together a few different funds to come up with the desired exposure.
Okay, awesome. And folks, if you have any questions or you need any more material on Sprott silver miners and physical silver ETF, or any of the other Sprott products, please go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen. Steve, we really appreciate the time, all of the time. I look forward to having you back here in 2026 and hearing about what you have next for investors here. And tell you what, maybe we'll have a Chicago, San Francisco NFC championship game. We'll see.
That'd be a great matchup. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to getting back.
Steve Schoffstall, everybody, from Sprott Asset Management. Really, really good stuff. We are lucky to have them. And I'll tell you what, doing a really good job with some of these ETFs. This is just makes it easier for the investor to actually get exposure to what it is that is important to them. Really good stuff there from Steve. Looking forward to having him back. Okay. What time do I have here? Just about 8:40. Folks, I think we should go and talk about our street tweets. Oh, I love All right, we have a couple of tweets, and we'll start off with the one that's on gold here. We just spoke with Steve from Sprott on silver and some of the other metals here. But this is for Lion Atlas here. Gold hit a new record high of nearly 4,600 per ounce. Look at this chart. Gold is screaming higher here. There's been a number of street price targets and predictions that gold is going to hit 5,000. 2026 has started off the same way that 2025 is finished, with this gold chart moving up and to the right. Mohammed El Arian here showing you exactly what that chart looks like. So metals have been important at the end of 2025. It looks to be no different here in 2026, and we will continue to observe these metal markets and place trades and investments on that. Big time shout out to our pre-market playbook crowd here. You folks have been all over some of those different metals. All right, next we have everyone's favorite Bitcoin stock. I think that's, of course, MicroStrategy here. Michael Saylor tweeting that the best performing assets of this decade are digital intelligence, represented by NVIDIA, digital credit, represented by MSTR, and digital capital, represented by Bitcoin. Now, we've covered MicroStrategy quite a bit here. We've talked about this being a possible Bitcoin play. This chart here, standard era, annualized returns. We'll see how this changes here. But Michael Saylor, I'm sure, one of the bigger Bitcoin proponents here. We'll see how this all shakes out. I still think there's going to be a pretty good opportunity in MicroStrategy at some point during 2026. I would very much like to get the group's opinion on what you think about this chart and this trade here. But Michael Saylor here I can't wait to see if there's a response from someone like Peter Schiff or something like that. All right, next here for Street Tweets, this is going to be a tech one, and this comes from our friend Dan Ives here. Very bullish on Apple. Stop me if you've heard this before. I know Apple gets a lot of talk on our show and other financial shows as well. A lot of varying opinions on Apple, its products, its integration into AI, even Tim Cook. Dan Ives here is saying he's got 4 keys for the stock to hit the $350 price target that Wedbush has set on Apple. Cupertino is finally ready to enter the AI revolution. And I understand that this tweet might be a little bit hard for you to see, so I'm going to go ahead and drop this one in the chat for you. The other thing that I'll do is, if you want the tweets or the replies to those tweets from some of the other ones, I'll drop all 3 of the tweets from our Street Tweets segment here in the chat. Continuing regarding Apple here, the first key, a Google Gemini partnership. Dan believes that this is really going to help Apple's AI strategy. Remember, AI has been something that they're lacking in. Dan also thinks that they're going to introduce a new revamped AI Siri. Now, this has been another big item here. We've talked about Siri before. We've talked about, this makes sense for a lot of its AI. The only question I have, what are they going to do with it? Now, Dan here says they're patiently waiting for the release of the new and improved Siri in the March-April timeframe. So we'll see if that is released on time. This personal assistant will be Apple's answer to ChatGPT and Perplexity, among other large language models. We'll see if that's sticky enough to kind of accelerate and move forward here. The third key, this one is always going to be a key for Apple. It's the success of its iPhone, in this case, the 17 sales, and handing the baton to the iPhone 18. Remember, we've got some preliminary data on iPhone 17 sales that has been pretty positive. The flip side of the coin is that Apple doesn't really innovate, and the phone is just marginally better than last year. We'll see what the sales pipeline for that ends up doing here. And then the last key, Tim Cook announces he's staying as the CEO, even amongst speculation. I had polled our group not long ago saying, hey, what do you think would happen to Apple's stock if Tim Cook left? And I believe that the overwhelming result of that poll was that that would actually be a positive for Apple's stock price. Now it looks like Tim Cook staying on is being viewed as a key for Apple moving to 350, according to Wedbush. All right, folks, that does it with Street Tweets. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you, I think we do have a macro minute for this week. All right, Benzinga's macro minute here. We've got a lot of stuff coming up on the macro side this week. We got earnings starting. We've got news about Powell being subpoenaed from the Department of Justice. And we have possible tensions increasing with Iran. And we also have the Supreme Court's decision on tariffs slated for Wednesday. So the macro minute for this week, definitely going to be uncertainty. We have a number of really key things that are going to increase the uncertainty that we see in the market. And as a result, that is going to lead to possible trades here. I'm not sure if front running any of this is necessarily the way to go. Instead, it should be to just kind of watch and see what happens here and then play it tactically. The big thing here is last week we saw that oil was in center focus after what was going on with Venezuela. And it looks like some of the uncertainty in the market this week could actually bleed back into the energy markets. So we'll see if there's any continuation from that. But you got earnings starting. You've got Fed uncertainty. We have possible escalating conflicts in the Middle East. And we also have that Supreme Court decision. So if you like volatility, this should be the week for you. We'll see how that all shakes out here. All right. I do have one more quick news story, and then we can go ahead and take a look at some charts. We'll go ahead and start the pre-market pulse as soon as 13 gets here. But I did really quickly want to start with this news story, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at two corresponding charts to this story. CoreWeave partner Core Scientific surges on momentum after BTIG says the dust has settled on the merger rejection and then upgraded the stock. So remember, folks, regarding the AI, regarding the entire AI theme here, and all of that, CoreWeave and Cores, two of the stocks that we have traded quite a bit through all of that. Got some more news here. Core Scientific, the ticker CORZ, has signaled a definitive reversal in market sentiment this week, flashing bullish technical signals following an upgrade from BTIG. The stock, which had previously lagged peers, saw its momentum metrics surge after a BTIG analyst declared that uncertainty surrounding its rejected merger with CoreWeave, ticker CRWV, has finally cleared. According to Benzinga Edge data, Core Scientific's momentum score underwent a massive week-over-week transformation, jumping from a bearish 16.3 to a bullish 81.98. In the context of these rankings, momentum is defined by a measure of a stock's relative strength based on its price movement patterns and volatility over multiple time frames, and then ranks it as a percentile against other stocks. This quantitative surge is supported by the stock's price trend indicators, which are positive across the short, medium, and long-term time horizons, signaling an upward trend over the last year's quarters and months. The technical breakout aligns with a fundamental shift identified by BTIG analyst Gregory Lewis, who upgraded Core Scientific from neutral to buy and slapped a $23 price target on it. Lewis noted that the dust has settled, followed shareholders' rejection of the merger with CoreWeave, as per a TipRanks report. Despite securing contracts to convert power infrastructure from crypto mining to high-performance computing, the stock had been one of the worst performers in the sector. However, BTIG now expects the company to hit the ground running in 2026 as it secures additional high-performance computing co-location contracts, leveraging its strong power infrastructure for compute. So if we go back to Benzinga Pro here, let's first take a look at CORZ. This is the stock in question here. Remember, this actually started off as kind of a smaller mover for us initially. Then it started to enter the AI angle a little bit more. And here we go. This is what we're looking at here on Core. Now, I will say, I do kind of like the chart here. So if the next move is up, we have a clear target up here near what, like 23 and a half-ish? What did I have up there? 23.69. So thereabouts, that 23 handle. We actually did just recapture the 50-day moving average. I'd want to see if 1678 can hold here today. The recent move off of this sideways area, that corresponded with a test of the 200 days. So as long as that holds up here, downside levels to take a look at 16, excuse me, 1678, that's going to be your 50-day, and your 200-day down there at 1407. I think if it breaks that, it probably retests or looks for retesting single digits. Excuse me. The other stock mentioned in there was CoreWeave. This has been another kind of a big-time AI stock and a massive winner for several folks. This is one that the Happy Hour group has absolutely just kind of stayed on top of. The interesting note here is that we've got two interesting things potentially forming on the daily chart. Number one, I did start to draw a potential inverse head and shoulders. Now, what would have to happen here is that this right shoulder would have to fill out. So we really wouldn't want this to trade much below 68, maybe even 67 to fill out that shoulder. We'll see if we get it right in here. This basically runs through the end of January, if I'm just looking at the date range. We're also trading sideways. This to me looks like it's trying to carve out a support level, and then a recapture of this 50 puts some of our previous levels back in play. Those levels there about 94.5 and then 99. We'll see if any of those can get broken above. Eventually, we have a trend line here. Don't forget, on June 4th of last year, 13 made a top call at 166.64, saying CoreWeave would never approach these prices again. We'll see what ends up happening here with CoreWeave. But okay, how did I do on time? Oh man, I got it all in with 9 minutes to spare. That's real good stuff. Bernhard is asking, will 13 be clean shaven? I talked to him. He said he would. So we should expect to see that here pretty soon. What I would say is, in the meantime, are there any stocks that you folks would like to take a look at? Not necessarily the movers. We're going to cover all of that too. But are there any other bigger stocks that you folks would like to take a look at that maybe we can break down the chart here? Let's see if I had anything in here. I don't really see anything. I guess, Billy, you're mentioning that snow lows may reverse. Let's see, I guess we can start by taking a look at snow. Here's your chart for snow. I would definitely want this to continue holding the 200-day. Last time we came into the 200-day, it actually represented a great buying opportunity. It was down here about 140. If we zoom out a little bit more, we are still dealing with a downtrend that originated from the all-time high post-COVID. See if we can get back above that here. I do like that it is so far as holding the 50-day move, or excuse me, the 200-day moving average. I would say this is going to have to bounce here pretty soon. Otherwise, that 50-day moving average is going to continue to decline, possibly flashing another death cross, which we've seen on some of these stocks. Last time this stock golden crossed, when we had the 50 going through the 200, we did actually get a delayed move higher here. It looks like about 153 to 190. So maybe if we death cross, we'll get some of the opposite reaction there. I would say if the 200-day doesn't hold here, you'd really be looking at this round 200 number. I have a gap fill that fills down here at about 201, but let's be honest, that 200 round number is absolutely going to come into play. These would be our next two downside spots that I see here on snow. Was there another one that you were taking a look at? Oracle tested the gap on the daily a few times. Let's take a quick look at that. Oracle is another one of these stocks that we've taken quite a frequent look at. One thing to note here, we do have this falling wedge, and it appears now that the price is kind of trading out of that wedge, albeit doing it in a sideways fashion. And the gap that Billy's talking about is going to be right here. This gap above starts at what? About 201. Just kind of eyeballing it here, 200 to 201. That gap doesn't fill till 220. We also have the 50 and the 200 within that. And don't forget, we did just death cross here on Oracle. So perhaps some more downside here on Oracle. I actually wouldn't be terribly shocked if this ended up drifting lower and testing that 174.36 level. That's our 500-day moving average. By the time the price moves down here, this might creep up towards 175, 176. You could see Oracle testing that before maybe clearing that out. But there you go on Oracle. The other thing here would be with the Ellisons and the whole Warner Brothers Discovery thing. I think, again, once that gets past here, once that is fully wrapped up here, I don't necessarily think Oracle stock is going to be responding to any of that. Okay. You guys had some other stocks that you were taking a look at. Let's see what you got here. Billy, Palantir, I did see that was spiking earlier. Looks like that was trading higher here on an upgrade. So here's what Palantir's daily looks like. It's really been sideways since September of last year. I know we had one move higher and one move lower in there, but otherwise we're basically trading around the same 175, 180 area here. Let's take a look at the news according to Benzinga Pro. Indeed, Palantir upgraded to buy from neutral at Citigroup. Palantir trading higher here by about 0.5%. Let's take a look inside and see what it looks like. Here you go. So Palantir was lower along with some of the rest of the market. That upgrade bringing us to positive. We'll see if it can hold on to gains here. Be honest, we're already kind of starting with a little bit of a downtrend here. Quick peek at the market. We are about at the same spot we were when we signed on here. S&P futures down 0.53% ahead of Monday's open here today. Okay, let's see. INBS, I believe that's going to be on the movers list, Robert. So we will absolutely take a look at that. You guys gave me a bunch of other tickers here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all of these. We did just take a look at Broadcom, folks. Maybe I guess we'll do that again. Didn't we just look at this with Mark on Friday, I feel like? Could have sworn Broadcom was one of those stocks. Now, it is still holding above our trend line here. And we are actually, oh no, okay, so we're down 1.25% here. We actually lost the 20-day moving average. So it did look like, at least last week, that we were going to try and recapture and maybe turn above that 20-day. Now, with the market being lower here, maybe we actually retest this trend line down here about 330. Only 10 points away. Stock's down 1.25% here today. That's pretty much what I got here on Broadcom. Again, I was really looking for maybe a recapture of the 20-day, maybe turn that trend around. I don't know that Broadcom has got the strength to do that here yet today. Okay. What else do we have here? Brim for breakfast. You wanted to take a look at gold. I know we talked a little bit about that here with Steve earlier. Here's what your GLD chart looks like. This is popping to new highs here as gold's trading up by 2.4% here today. So I'll tell you what, Lion, you got to be extremely happy here. These metals charts, they all look amazing. They sure look like they got more room to go. We have even more, seem to have even more certainty here, or even more macro uncertainty here, which looks like this is going to drive some of these things higher. So this gold chart sure looks like this is going to move higher. We'll see what's next. Does anyone have any targets for gold? That's the one thing. I don't think I've asked you guys if you have any actual targets on any of these. Let's see. What else do we have here? Amazon. All right, let's take a look at Amazon. That was indeed strong last week. I had some news here about Walmart and Home Depot adopting AI, Amazon at the forefront of that. Here is Amazon's chart, and you were right to take a look at this one. We did pop out of the sideways area that we had. This is the purple rectangle that you see on the chart. Amazon really wasn't doing a whole lot outside of one more move higher here that came back in. Now it looks like we're breaking out of that. I got to be honest with you. I would love to hear what you folks think, but man, oh man, it sure looks like 260 here going to be a pretty huge upside target for Amazon. We'll see if we end up getting that. Amazon, you'll have to let me know what you're thinking here. Marionetta says Amazon target 3T. I think what you're talking about is a 3 trillion market cap. Market cap coming into today, 2.64. Mary, I don't have the napkin math in front of me. Let me know what the price would be for Amazon or thereabouts. You can just give me a ballpark if it does, in fact, get to 3 trillion market cap. Okay, good stuff there with ticker time. Let's go ahead and get started here with our pre-market pulse. And folks, y'all are going to be, I think y'all are going to be shocked here, right? I think y'all are going to be shocked here. Let's go ahead, producer. Let's get started with our pre-market pulse. The catalyst, the setups,
Hey.
brought to you by 13. Boy, looking a little different here, 13.
Yeah, a little bit.
Monday, how you doing?
I feel lighter in the face.
I feel lighter in the face. I'll tell you what, it makes you look younger.
Yeah, I'm getting that. But you know what? No one's liked it, so this will probably be the last time I do it.
I think it looks pretty sharp. I will say it doesn't look like you're ready to go out in your backyard and chop down a tree. So you lost that lumberjack appeal here, but look sharp and nicer. And I'll tell you what, the chat is giving you some props. Wow, you look younger, nice.
Yes.
Good morning, hello, looks sleeker. Hey man, I have a pretty good review.
It is, and here's the thing that I always worry about whenever I do this, because like I will grow it out for a while and not shave it. So I'm always worried about if I do shave it, am I going to see somebody I don't recognize underneath all that? So that's always a big thing when I shave off the beard. It's like, am I going to recognize myself? And yeah, it still looks like the same me, but a little bit older.
Man, how could someone not like it? So handsome, who knew?
Oh, geez, you guys
13, you're getting the good comments here today. Monday starting off with a bang. Look, it is indeed our pre-market pulse segment. Let's go ahead and break down some of the different movers that we've got here today. You ready to do that? Let's do it, boy. I love our chat, man. I love our chat. The comments are absolutely awesome. That's 13 has been reduced to 12. Oh, so good. Okay. Hey, look at this. 13, you look younger than me now.
Oh, jeez.
I think you're actually older than me, which is impressive.
I think I've got a good number of years on you now.
Looking pretty good. All right, let's
I look 13. That's the best comment so far.
Now you look 13. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Let's start with the movers here. Lots of stuff going on here today. We're going to use Benzinga's movers tool in order to keep track of it. Perhaps I'll do a lesson on that here this week. Nonetheless, first one here is going to be EVTV, and this is Envirotech Vehicles. This was a penny stock last week. We are trading up by 157% here today. The stock is now in dollar territory. This wasn't moving when I first showed up here today, but we do indeed have a newsprint here. ASIO receives $100 million worth of government purchase orders, advances $200 million regional pipeline and scalable U.S. AI infrastructure expansion. So it's basically a binding order for 256 NVIDIA B300 GPUs, with about 107 million towards major Southeast Asian government contract. 30% of the deposit is expected within the coming weeks. That is your catalyst driving the stock higher by 160%. A quick peek at the short interest on this. 1.91% of the float is shorted with 1 day to cover. So there's some short interest here, but it appears to be very minor and probably not affecting the price here today. On average, the stock trades 7.11 million shares. Today, it's traded 165 million, and the float here is at 4.45 million. So here's what our chart looks like. 13, what say you on EVTV?
So this company, EVTV, which is Envirotech Vehicles, they're going to be merging with ASIO AI. And ASIO AI is the company that actually got the news this morning. So I guess it's like a relationship trade, but there's been no merger date set or anything. It's still in the very early stages of the merger, and it's supposed to be, as far as I understand it, an all-stock transaction. So that's not really going to give us too good of an idea of what the fundamentals are, because we're looking at EVTV and the news is for ASIO. But that's the whole reason why it's running. So I think for this one, it's just going to be a matter of let's just follow the technicals on this one. I don't know what it's going to end up looking like when they do merge, but ASIO getting the $107 million contract and a $200 million pipeline for AI infrastructure expansion. So when they do merge, it'll probably trade a lot better. But for now, I think all we can really rely upon are just what we have in front of us, which are the technicals. So looking at that, we're about at 120 right now. That's going to take us kind of into this area from November, where we went sideways, kind of creating a bit of a resistance shelf. So if we can get through that sideways consolidation, get through to, let's say, like 130, we might start trading better. Don't know how high this is going to end up going. I do see some heavier resistance up at 150. So if we get up there, maybe it runs into some problems. And then after that, $2.
Okay. There you go. Really good breakdown there. EVTV giving you some of the targets here. Also, since we don't really talk about this one quite often, I did take a look here. Envirotech Vehicles is a provider of purpose-built zero-emission electric vehicles focused on reducing the total cost of vehicle ownership and helping fleet operators unlock the benefits of green technology. It recognizes revenue from the sales of zero-emission electric vehicles and vehicle maintenance and inspection services. The company serves commercial and last-mile fleets, school districts, public and private transportation service companies, and colleges and universities to meet increasing demand for its light to heavy-duty electric vehicles.
Click on the company webpage. It has them like right there, front and center, as soon as you go to the website. So
here you go.
These two companies are merging. They're trying to create a clean energy vehicle infrastructure with AI. That's their whole goal.
There you go. Thank you, Benzinga Pro, for putting all of that stuff at our fingertips, as you always do. Okay, really good stuff there, EVTV. Now, the next one here, this is what someone was asking about earlier. Let's go to INBS. This is Intelligent Bio Solutions. This stock closed last week at about, what, $18, $17.92 was its closing price. Looks like we had a big move up towards 40 and retracing a lot of that move here. If we take a look here, I just have one of these SEC forms, and it looks like this is an offering.
But that's from Friday.
Right, but this is from Friday after hours, which would have been the next thing that would have been the last thing on here that affects the stock here today.
Yeah, there's no news really with this one.
It doesn't look like it.
They just regained compliance last week. They did an off. Now they have this offering on the table last week. They've got a few quarters in cash based on the private placement of $10 million they did at the start of the year. So don't think that there's really a need for them to raise capital, but it's moving on no news. And I don't want to say the move's probably over, but I don't know that we're going to see this run to $40 again. I think that would be, this wouldn't make sense. I don't know. I don't want to kind of assign a word to it, but it just wouldn't make sense to me for this to suddenly go right back up to 40 on nothing. It seems like that was just a sudden impulse move shortly after we had pre-market open. We've been leaking down ever since. Looking at a 5-minute chart, it seems to me VWAP's the big hurdle to get over, followed by, I would say, maybe $28, $26 and $28, next two resistance areas to the upside. And if we do manage to recapture those, maybe we will see 41.27 again, but call me skeptical that we will.
Okay. I think I would join your skepticism here. I mean, to me, it looks clear as day that the first step in any type of higher price is going to be a break and hold above that VWAP. We don't have this.
It's just that the float's very low. So there's always that possibility that because of how small the float is, it gets pushed right back up to where it was. I'm just not sure we're going to end up seeing that. So we'll see. Well, I think this is just the one we just kind of watch what happens. We'll play it as we see it. But for now, those are the resistance levels, 26 and 28.
Okay, really good stuff there. INBS. Oh, you know what? I don't think I did the short interest on this one. I apologize. I actually don't have a recent short reading, but we still have just shy of about 1 million shares held there in the short, or held short there. Now, did we have any recent reverse splits on this?
I believe we did. Yeah. It was,
so
last
December 16th, we had a 1 for 10. That's probably not being reflected there.
So if that, so they have a 1.2 million in the float, and you're saying that the amount that's short is just shy of 1 million. So that's a pretty high short interest.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if that's not adjusted. It does say that it's 78%. I'm just wondering if that calculation is a tad off. Days to cover also elevated here. I will say that just with as much short interest in here, maybe this is actually playing a role in that. Maybe that played a role in its initial move up to 40. See if that comes back in when the regular session is open here. On average, stock trades 2.16 million shares of volume. It's already traded 2.26 here today. So we'll see. INBS, good stuff on that one. Okay, next here is going to be OM, and this is Outset Medical. Looks like this is now taking its second leg higher. Looks like it took a leg higher earlier here away from the 450 handle. Now it looks like it's taking it above 666 is our current price here. Outset Medical sees Q4 2025 revenue of about $28.9 million. The estimate was for $26.15 million. So they're seeing revenue above that. They reported unaudited for fourth quarter and 2025 results. This is moving higher on those results. Taking a quick peek at the short interest on this name, 12.37% of the float shorted with 4.3 days to cover. So doesn't meet our high threshold, but definitely still a significant short interest in there. On average, stock trades just over 500,000 shares. Today, it's done just shy of 9 million shares, and the float is right around 18 million. What do you think here on ticker OM13?
I think as it was approaching 690 there, we were getting really close to the 65-day EMA. That's going to be 697, almost 698. So be careful right up in that area. We could see the price come right back in briefly. But this one and another one I'll mention is going to be presenting at JP Morgan's 44th annual healthcare conference. And that's going to be on Wednesday at 1:30 Eastern. So this company and another company I'll get into in just a moment, they're going to, I think that could be a catalyst piece of news. So mark your calendars for Wednesday. Aside from that, earnings report, fourth quarter results, better than expected. Not surprised to see this a little bit higher here. Float, you said, was just shy of 18 million. We have a little bit of a short interest, 12.37%. Just shy of the days to cover we'd like to see, 4.33, want to see 5. But aside from that, this is moving on just that earnings news where they saw revenue higher than the estimate. Yep. The other company that I wanted to mention that's also presenting at JP Morgan's healthcare conference on Wednesday is X-Ray. This is a dental company. Shout out to Zoltan for bringing this up to the happy hour group. I started looking into this. I don't, I'm not sure if I'm interested.
Is it this one, ticker XRAY? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm not sure about this one. It could be good. It actually been hammered down for quite some time, so it could be a turnaround story. But they're going to provide an update on their business at this healthcare conference. So we could see some fireworks there from X-Ray as well on that date. And I don't know what other companies are presenting at this, but this is going to be a conference we should probably seek out some tickers for, because I think they could move on the news there.
Okay, well, I can help you with that, and so too can Benzinga. By the way, looking at the X-Ray chart here, perhaps this is forming a bottom now. This would be pretty sweet on a potential breakout if we end up getting that. Really quickly, you were asking about what stocks are reporting at this conference. Well, I would direct you to the morning update page of Benzinga Pro, because what that's going to do, it's going to list all of the different company events here. One of them is, in fact, going to be the JP Morgan conference. So these should have tickers in here. I would imagine that they would change from day to day here as well. BioNTech, BNTX, SNTI. This is another one that we've traded off. We should recognize Senti. We've seen that before. CLRB here. These are not all very expensive. Some of these just single digit stocks that we're familiar with. Immunocore is on there. OCGN, another one that we've seen off of the scanner here. So plenty of stuff. And the morning update page of Benzinga Pro will keep you abreast of all of those that are going to have some type of conference. It's also worth noting that the Needham Growth Conference is also going on. Oh. And so OOST and AEVA, these are stocks that we've talked about quite a bit on this program recently. So lots of stuff going on this week. As if we didn't need anything else, 13, we got a whole bunch of stuff that's going to affect what's going on. So, all right, let's go back to the movers list here. Really good breakdown there on OM. Also led us to X-Ray. Another bonus mention there for your pre-market pulse segment. We already covered INBS. Next here is going to be BDSX. This is Biodesics. This stock closed at about just shy of 550 last week here. It looks like we traded up towards 8 this morning. We've come back in a little bit. We've retraced some of that move there. We actually lost the VWAP. This too, having another reporting preliminary fourth quarter and full year 2025 unaudited results. Biodex sees fourth quarter revenue of 28.8 million versus the consensus of 25.02. So, and then the full year revenue there, 85.5 million. That was up 41% and 24% year over year. So some pretty good results on this. Stock is higher by about 24.5%. Quick peek at the short interest here. 1.89% of the float shorted with 1.32 days to cover. Float on this stock right in our wheelhouse, 4.3 million. On average, it only trades 140,000 shares a day. Today, it's done 10 million. What do you think on the chart here and some other levels?
The daily chart in BDSX isn't really doing a whole lot for me. It's looking a little bit weak up until today. So if you're looking at the price action we got earlier in the month of last year, that took us all the way down to the low in April or May, or I think this is May. We did recover and try to get back above 10, but couldn't recapture 10. We ended up started trailing lower again. I'm a little bit concerned if we lose $5, we're going to revisit that low from May again. But here we are back up over 680 now. And we could be coming up to a bit of a resistance area, just over 7, around 720. There's a 65-day EMA there. Mm-hmm. That also looks to be an area around 7 to 710 that is going to have some resistance. So that whole area right in there could be troublesome for BDSX on the way back up. Looking at a 5-minute chart, we did pop up to 826 this morning. Immediately gave that right back, and in addition to going underneath VWAP. We have not been able to capture. Actually, that was that was all pre-market. We haven't been able to capture VWAP since, even taking another leg lower that took us down to the 65 EMA. So as we rebound off the 65 EMA and go into the open, let's see after we open if we can get back above that VWAP, because we're drifting up towards that at the moment. So going to see a recapture of VWAP here pretty soon. And that's going to be $7 I have VWAP at.
Okay, my VWAP here on the chart at 722, current price at 680. We'll see if we do retake that 7 level, despite where the VWAP sits. I think that's going to be important for BDSX here today. Okay, next on the list here is going to be JAGX. That's JAGX. This stock we've traded this before. This has formerly been a penny stock, although it closed here at about $1.05 last week. Looks like we've had 2 consecutive highs here today. I'm actually going to connect those with the trend line. That should give us a target in the regular session. Take a look here. Jaguar Health enters into a U.S. license agreement with Future Pak for one of its drugs here, providing up to $38 million. This is the press release that you're getting here today, driving the stock higher by about 17%. Quick peek at the short interest on this name, 7.2% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average 100-day volume of 218,000. Today, we've traded 19.2 million, and the float also in our wheelhouse here at 3.4 million. So 13, what do you think here for Jaguar Health, JAGX?
I think just looking at that chart, you're going to want to wait for this one.
Yeah.
We're losing the 65 EMA right now. It's already starting to come down towards the 200. I think this is one I would wait until we open, see if we can get a reversal. Right now, it just looks like this is weak, and it's having a hard time recapturing VWAP, and now it has the added task of recapturing the 65 EMA. So for me, I think I would just kind of wait this one out, see what we end up getting, if we can, kind of bottom after we open. I don't think you want to start jumping into this just yet.
Okay. Good stuff there. I think you're absolutely right. We'll see if we hold this bottom. I've got that down there at 114, maybe 110 as well. Okay. Next here on the list is TEM. Now 13, I'd love to hear if you have anything on the chart for this. I actually did cover TEM earlier in the news segment. And if any of you want that, let me actually grab this piece of news for you. It has a whole bunch of the different. Oops.
There was a lot of biotechs and medical names that were going this morning.
Yeah, here. Let me go ahead and drop this in there. There you go. All right. Now, Tempest here really quick. Tempest AI shares are trading higher after the company reported preliminary 2025 revenue of around $1.27 billion, which was up 83% year over year. You can see the move here on Tempest. I know the chat was talking about this before. This was one of the Nancy Pelosi stocks that we had traded back on those positions here. Taking a look at the chart, we had a number of upside areas that gave us a pretty clean trend line. When we looked at the regular daily chart before, this was basically just around its 200-day moving average. Quick peek at the short interest on this one, 14.11% of the float shorted with 5.87 days to cover. That's definitely elevated and may come into play here today. On average, the stock trades 5.2 million shares. In the pre-market here, it's done 1.34 already. And the float on this one is at 128 million. So 13, what do you have here on the chart for TEM?
Well, on the 5-minute chart, it looks like we're kind of going sideways right now. We could potentially go higher as long as that 65 EMA holds up. That's going to be at about 73 right now. I'm looking at the daily chart, and I like the way this daily chart looks better because as of today, this morning, we are now up above the 200 and the 50-day SMAs. So those are going to be support to be open above those, which given the amount of time left, I certainly expect to. Seems to me like 75 is a bit of a problem area. That was a low from September. So I do expect that to play a little bit of resistance. But if we do manage to get through that, 80 looks like an even bigger area where you could see resistance. As in November, we lost that level, and we've had multiple attempts trying to recapture it to no avail. So I think if we do manage to recapture 75 and start trading higher, 80 is going to be the next big area where we're going to find some problems. Maybe we do go higher than that, but I think once we cross that bridge at 80, we can discuss where this goes next.
Okay, and then really quickly here, let's just take a look at the government trades here. The last entry that I have is from May 9th. This was Robert Shanahan here. The last Pelosi entry I have in there was from January 14th of 2025. So nothing new on that front. Another quick peek at the insiders tab here. All I really see, especially for 2026, is insider selling. Remember, as per our discussions with Tim Melvin, there's a number of reasons for that, but we're clearly not seeing any insider buying on this. So we'll see what TEM gives us. Really good breakdown there with the chart 13. All right, let's see. We've covered all of these. We've covered JAG-X. Next one here, this is the Pro Share. This AGQ is the Ultra Silver ETF. Not a whole lot to talk about here. That's moving up. But DVLT, this is one that we've traded off of the scanner before. This one looks like it's getting a little bit of movement here. I'd be careful, though. This is clearly in a downtrend. Careful on DVLT. And then also CRML, Critical Metals. This is another one that's been on a pretty good run recently. 13, that was all I had here for the movers for the pre-market pulse segment. Did you have anything else on your list that you wanted to prepare the group for?
You mentioned DVLT.
Yes,
even though I'm not too big into this company, I'm looking at the daily chart since the end of the year last year, and the price action that's taken place ever since. And I'm kind of thinking, let's not write this off quite yet. It's still above $1. Let's see if it can hold above the 200-day SMA, which is at 104. It's currently at 103, so it has to get back above that. But it really looks like it wants to get back above 150. Like really, and it seems like it has to. But it also has this formation, which could be a bull flag. If we can just get above that 200-day SMA and close above it today, I think that would bode really well for some continued upside.
What value do you have for that?
For the 200-day SMA?
Yes, sir.
104.
There you go. So 104 going to be one of your key levels here today.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any other charts that you wanted to take a look at? We can do ticker time from the chat again if you'd like. This is great, though. We've got all of these things done with 7 minutes to spare prior to today's open.
Well, there's something I was looking into, and Jay Rice and I are already in this one. It's a Velo 3D. It's VELO.
Okay, let me put that on here. I'm going to leave it on the. I'm going to leave it on actually the hourly chart just to kind of give it a better breakdown here. I am going to step away for 1 sec though, 13. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. So the thing that I'm watching with this one that I really like is what goes on with SpaceX, because SpaceX is going through a massive expansion right now. They've got multiple facilities they're building in Texas and Florida to completely commercialize the Starship, the big one they've been testing. They're actually building these facilities that are going to be able to pump these rocket boosters and the Starships out in mass. So we're looking at on average, they could get up to 2 a day that they complete, which is insane. They're going to need a lot of parts printed, and I do mean a ton. That's where they're going to get it. And the Raptor 3 engines that they're going to be making, Velo 3D prints a good number of those components. So I think when it comes to VELO, the development of SpaceX and the more news we get out of that, and even when they IPO, maybe I think VELO is going to be one that's going to trade to the upside right along with it, because they're so important to the Starship's ability to manufacture quickly and precisely. So I think this is one to definitely keep an eye on. Maybe wait for it to cool off a little bit. It is pretty extended here, but maybe if it comes back into 15, I certainly would be interested in this again. It's just golden crossed at the start, or actually more like in the middle of December, but we are turning back up. It's looking pretty good. I think this is going to be a great one as the whole space thing develops some more, especially with SpaceX. But at this price, I don't think we want to start grabbing it yet. Wait for it to come back in a little bit.
Okay, really good stuff there. VELO, excuse me. Maybe you covered this, but I'm just going to read Jay's comment here. I think the Velo move going to help out some of the lesser 3D names. Could be interesting turnaround. DDD for the specs. So 3D, triple D. That is going 3D systems. Excuse me. So, Jay, is this a position for you? Do you like this in 13? Sorry, I didn't mean to run.
It's okay. No, it's okay. It's the thing about Velo is that they've got a specialized type of 3D printer. I don't know if anybody else has anything like it, and it's kind of the reason why I think they're so important. I think SpaceX has exclusive licensing rights to their use. I might be wrong about that, but it's their Sapphire printing systems, and they could be, if there is what I think they are, they could end up becoming something along the lines of importance like ASML's, ultraviolet machines, the lithography machines. Mm-hmm. It could be on that level of importance. I'm not saying that they're going to be exactly the same thing, but they're the need to 3D print and manufacture quickly, precisely, high quality parts. Velo can do that with their Sapphire systems, and that kind of makes them, special, in my opinion. So I think we're still a little bit early with this, but Velo is definitely one to watch, I think. And I think Jay's right that it could lift some of these other 3D printing names, but Velo, I believe, is kind of in their own space a little bit.
Okay, so that seems to kind of be the main play. Some of these would be sympathies off of that. Really quickly, just kind of looking at 3D systems here, I basically started a trend line that originated back in 2023. This trend line represents possible support turn resistance here. Would really want to see 3D trade above this here. Got that at about 333. So we'll see if we're able to break above that, turn this around here. Otherwise, SSYS, this is another one that I've tried trading in the past, ended up taking the loss on this one. Just didn't do very well. We'll see, though. Maybe this is put in a bottom. It does kind of look like on the daily chart the bottom's been put in. We'll see if that holds up here. But the main play here for both you and also Jay is going to be Velo. We'll see where that goes, holding on to that 20 handle. Okay, let's see. What else did the chat throw out here?
I think some folks wanted to look at Redwire.
Okay, we'll do RDW next.
That one is another one in the space theme. This has been getting some attention lately. I think this could run up as high as 1250 before we see some resistance that takes it back down to test the 200-day, maybe even lower. But I think this one still could go a little bit higher. But I would kind of place 250, 260 as kind of the topping out area in the short term. So I don't think this is really the price to be jumping in the Redwire right now. It's gone on a pretty good run since the start of December. As a matter of fact, since that point, we've gone up 123%. So I'd say let's probably let this thing cool off a little bit before we start to jumping in. If you're already in this and you were hitting that bottom when it was like around 5 or 6, well done. Be sure you're paying yourself on the way up. But that's kind of what I'm thinking here with Redwire, is that there could be a little bit more room to go higher, but I think that we might see a turnaround here in a little bit.
Could I interest you in a back test of the 200? Because the move off of the December or November lows that you just talked about here basically took us through some of these moving averages in what I deem as a fairly orderly fashion. We first broke the 20-day. That one probably pretty easy to turn around, and we did so on expanding volume, so that looked pretty good. We peaked above the 50, traded back down towards the 20, but recaptured the 50. Then we did the same thing on the 100, then the 500, and now it looks like we're doing that to the 200. So we traded up towards the 200-day. We found some resistance there. It took 3 days to trade above it. Now we're above it here. Can I interest you in a back test of maybe 1060 or 1050 hold before another move higher here?
Could I possibly interest you in drawing some trend lines?
Yes, you can always interest me in the trend lines. I am a trend line fanatic at this point.
We're gonna draw two.
Okay.
First one, we'll start. Actually, we have less than.
You better hurry then.
Okay, so start with the top one. February, the highs through the June highs of last year. Keep it going, and then let's use the low from April of last year. Draw it through the low of November, and this is the wedge I'm keeping an eye on that we've been bouncing around in.
Boom.
So that's what I'm looking at here. That's why I think we're going to probably get some
perfect timing. We are open.
All
Let's
right.
go. Happy Monday, everybody. We are at another one here today. Okay.
All right. So out of the gate here, let's look at some of the ones we were talking about.
EVTV, this is still holding its 9 EMA so far. We'll see how that goes. Good morning, everybody. That's a little bit later here. You all had a great weekend.
Oh, yes. James, sorry, not James. Jay, Spire Global. Yeah, that's another one that's been on the space list. Absolutely, another one to keep an eye on. Absolutely. And then,
really quickly here, 13. I just want to remind everyone that joined a little bit later here, we were successful in extending the show starting today. So 13 and his new face, if you will, we will be here until 10:30 today. So we heard your feedback. Thank you for your feedback. And we do that here today. Okay.
Tempest popped up to 76. I'm sorry. Yeah, 76.33 reversed. So now it's kind of bouncing around back and forth above and below the VWAP. JAG-X heading lower. I think we all expected that.
Ondas higher out of the gate, recaptured 14. We'll see if that holds here today. BDSX, this is actually getting ready to possibly move through its VWAP. BDSX.
Certainly trying to. Big resistance there at 725-ish. So we'll see if we can get through that. OM getting support from the VWAP. I don't know this is going to hold up. MACD is kind of indicating a momentum swing to the downside. So this may come in a little bit lower. I'd say the next support's going to be around 570.
Okay.
EVTV, this just made a new session high.
Let's check that out. EVTV.
Look at the move. Look at the move in Redwire. I'm glad that I mentioned something about waiting this one out, because now we're down to 1079.
Okay, and remember that 1060 area was the 200 that we talked about. We're going to get a very early test to see if that holds here today.
OM losing VWAP. Let's look at OM.
OM, got it.
Yep. Yeah, that one's continuing to roll. Okay, and here we go. We've got a little bit of support from that 570 area. Let's see if that holds up. I'm not going to, lean on this 570 area holding up. I mean, we could get a bit of a reversal here, but still looks to me like this could end up coming in lower.
Yeah, not the day to necessarily catch a falling knife, is it?
Not on a Monday.
Yeah, it looks like OM just retracing that second leg higher that it had. That looks like about it right there. Yeah, TSM reports on Thursday, Jay. We talked about that. We'll see how that does. BABA here, this is also higher by 5.2%. BABA actually taking the next leg higher on the back of its move higher here. And remember, Alibaba's Cloud Quen, we talked about this earlier. Alibaba's Cloud Quen, easy for me to say, hit 700 million downloads and developers swarm it. So that's that open source AI model there for BABA, or the chip. Ondas went to 14 and pulled back, kind of expecting that. Wouldn't chase any of those moves there.
Broadcom seeing some nice move out of the gate here.
That was AVGO, right? Someone wanted to take a look at that one earlier.
Yeah. I don't know if there was news. I do see a trend line from yesterday. I'm sorry, not yesterday, Friday. Let me see where this ends up taking it. Oh, that's interesting. That's super interesting. So if you go to AVGO.
And really quick. I'll go back to AVGO in a sec, but trimmed part of the trade here on BDSX on the curl back to that 720 VWAP. We are now through it here. We'll put stop down there at 718, which is the VWAP I've got in the broker. There we go. Now we're going back to BABA, right?
No, Broadcom.
Broadcom, AVGO. My bad, man.
And if you look at Friday's price action, you can probably see the trend line I'm looking at. The two highs there, the early one from about 11 o'clock and the second one from 3:10. Draw it through there and look where we're headed.
Got it. I see it.
kind of
So
fascinating.
here's the trend line that you're talking about. Look where we went to here. It is almost like that is just
So
the die's been cast.
Yeah, use that for trading if you're on Broadcom today.
You're expecting resistance here in another dollar. Another big move higher here. BDSX looks like we're going here towards 750. 826 was your pre-market high there. $8 maybe next. BDSX.
So Ryan, remember me saying about how Roblox looks like it could reverse, and how Jay kind of put this on my radar again after we saw this downside. So he's mentioning it again. Certainly, it is looking like it's turning around here. $80 appears to be the next big resistance area to the upside. So we'll see what ends up happening. But this being absolutely hammered down, full disclosure, I hate this company, but this has been so hammered down.
Sorry, BDX. Sorry, 13 to interrupt you. BDSX. I'm all out this trade now as we move even higher here. Again, I'm really sorry for interrupting you. No position anymore. We got our nice curl there. 1 for 1 on the day. 2-part sale. Giddy up on BDSX. Okay, going back to Roblox here. Sorry, I clicked on Broadcom.
Yeah. Anyway, so looking like this is because of all the different factors about how it's been hammered down, low RSI, and had a death cross recently. All those kind of really pulled this price down super quickly, and I think that we're going to get some short-term reversal here. I don't think we're going to go back up to 100 and start printing triple digits again. But I do think we are going to get some kind of relief from this sell-off here.
Okay, so this to me then sounds like a technical bounce candidate based on the daily chart for Roblox there. So that's probably short-term in duration.
Well done on your trade with BDSX. That thing is now reversing after not being unable to go much higher than, what is this, 777. And now we were testing the VWAP.
Yeah, I didn't get the top there. As soon as it broke 750 and it popped above, I just liquidated into that move. I don't have a long-term view on this. It's just for short-term lunch money here. That's what we're able to get BDSX early. We'll see what sets up next here.
Big reversal in Redwire after it going down to 1074. Just turned around and recaptured the 200 EMA, recapturing the 65 EMA and the VWAP. Just 9 and 15 EMAs remain above it, as well as some technical levels. Let's see if we can get back up to 1169 where it was in pre-market.
Pretty good bounce in order here already. By the way, let's be a good human. I got out of that too. Bang, register ring right there.
You guys are absolutely having a wonderful Monday.
That's how we do here.
BDSX now?
BDSX more?
It's getting support from VWAP.
Okay, here it is. Nice little move through there. All right, let's see what else we got. Izzy was mentioning that Netflix was ripping. So you know what, Izzy? And here we are. So we talked about maybe 80, 86 being the level here for Netflix. Looks like 88.50 was about the low that we got there on Friday. Shame on me, Izzy didn't take it off of that. We'll see where we go here today. I would want to see if this 90.50 area can get taken out. Take a peek at the daily here. Still doesn't look great. Maybe this is the bounce here, but if we can really get down to 86, 85, 86, this were some of the lows back from April of last year. That to me would actually make better entry for the Netflix swing long. But Izzy, you're right. This straight up out of the gate here. BDSX back to 770, going without me there. That's okay though. Again,
it's got to be okay because that was a great trade. Yeah. And I don't think there's any hindsight needed. Yeah.
Nope. It was quick. Ondas here. So it looks like that did trade up a little bit first, pulled back, now back on 1450 here, ONDS. You know, one of the other things I want to keep an eye on for is some of the flow here via the options market. I am seeing, by the way, PAAS. This is having some call flow here despite the pullback. Remember, this is a silver stock that a lot of the chat likes out there.
Some of these drone names really making me happy here, like Ocean Power, OPTT. This is, we like to talk about these underwater drones now. I think these are going to be a pretty good theme this year. Here we are with some over 50 again. I'm gonna try and draw a trend line here that connects the high from Thursday through the pre-market high that we had on Friday morning. That gives us a target of about 54-55 cents, pretty much right where we're at here on OPTT. You know, really quickly, the increasing the
defense budget from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion has all of these drone stocks moving.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders how long is that going to be on here before it starts to maybe pull back a little bit.
Maybe it's going to probably have a lot to do with how this current budget that we're still trying to get passed works out.
Yeah.
The big beautiful bill that was supposed to be passed last year, and we've been having shutdowns and extensions, and we'll see what happens at the end of this month. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for, to see what the fight ends up being at that point.
Okay. SOGP, I'm noticing the only reason this just kind of standing out here because SOGP, this is another one of those stocks. We had discussed this on Happy Hour. It made a huge move. Now it looks like it's doing it again here. This thing went from closed at about 11 and change, went as high as 19 and change in the pre-market. SOGP, this is up by 45%. Did this have news?
That's a nice breakout there from the 20 and 50-day SMAs. I mean, this is kind of a big breakout to me.
Okay, they had a letter to shareholders here. Today issued a letter to shareholders from its founder and CEO. As we step into 2026, Sound Group celebrates the 6th anniversary of its public listing. Let me skim through this here, see if there was anything talking about AI opportunities for emerging businesses and potential growth engines. On October, we celebrated our 12th anniversary. We announced renewed mission with Vision, the world's leading AI-powered audio company. So this just looks like a positive update and spin. I would actually, you know what? I might use the Pro AI tool to derive any insights from this PR, but this is clearly what it's moving on here today, up 50% now, SOGP. This is a low float stock, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2.8 million shares in the float. This thing pretty low.
You might be getting a bit of a bottom in OM. Not quite sure yet. I still think this could go down to 5, but we've had a pretty good sink out of the gate here. So the selling might be slowing down, but I still think we could see some lower prints. But it's looking like this is the selling may have started to slow. We are getting a little bit more upside here in BDSX. Not the high of the session yet, but trying to push up towards it.
It looks like a nice little back test there of VWAP too. I didn't take the trade there, only one trade on this one, but there we go. Nice little back test. This now pushing higher here. 826 is your pre-market high. $8 seems to possibly be an area there. We shall see. BDSX and Ondas here. Again, no fresh news on this, just kind of the trading action here. A recapture of 15. So Ondas strong here this morning. Really good stuff there. Great day. Lion, I will take the positivity any day that you are spitting it out. It is indeed a great day here today.
I love how Broadcom's still dealing with that trend line.
The trend lines, man, that's been one of the simpler drawings that we do on a daily basis here. And let me tell you something, they have been incredible. Look at that, right to the trend line that you had me plop on this. Literally right to it.
I'm trying to get over it now too, but sellers like to keep stepping in. We'll see what happens.
So, Joe, really quickly here, asking about Ondas, what does the 1645 offering price have? So I was actually looking at this last week. I'm not great on warrant conversions. I put out a call to one of my buddies. He was not available over the weekend. Part of me wonders what's going on here. I did see some stuff on X, some back and forth about whether or not this is good or bad for Ondas. Still think the offering is probably going to be dilutive to shareholders, but probably accretive for its business. Remember, Eric told us that with the proceeds, he wants to buy up other companies, and I would imagine that that's going to continue to happen here. So I can't tell you in the near term what that means, Joe. I'm still kind of going back and forth on that, but clearly the market likes it here. Ondas so far trying to hold 15.
They are absolutely hurting the hell out of shorts. I mean, this thing has got 20% short interest, and every time it gets up here, I'm sure that the diaper gets full. So, I think that, if this continues, we did identify some levels where we could see this running to. It was like 16 is I believe the next one. Let me look at my chart again. It was like 16 and I think 18 was another one. Yeah, 18 and then 1950. Next big upside resistance areas. And I think that's all that we have before it's a blue sky breakout.
Now, really quickly, just looking at the 5-minute chart here, you can see that this 1510 area here represents resistance from Thursday, Friday, and this is where the price is stopping it here today. We'll see if we can end up getting through there. But This is where Ondas is right here. Now, another one, you guys are mentioning Archer, ACHR. I'm noticing that is trading up here by 3.86%. Nice little move right out of the open. And this actually above Thursday and Friday's high here. Do we have any news on Archer? Nope, that was just a article from over the weekend. So I don't see any fresh news on Archer's nearly 4% move here today.
Yeah, I think that I see more and more news about how we're going to be seeing these in the sky starting this year, and I'm waiting to see it, but I certainly think we could, especially out here in Texas. I know this is one of the places where they're doing their test markets in Houston, so we'll see how this goes. I'm kind of excited to see these EV tools flying throughout the sky.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know the first time that you take a ride on one. And then here's the other thing: Gex versus Dex here. Mentioning ONDL here. So this is a good mention. This is the 2x long ETF for Ondas. I will say I have never traded this, right? I've been long the stock for a long time there on Ondas. I've traded contracts on it as well. I have not dipped my toe in here to these levered ETFs, but a good mention from Gex here. If you do want the juice on these moves here, this can be one of your targets. We're seeing this up by 10% here today.
I'm being asked if I think NXXT is bottoming out. It looks to me like this may be trading into a descending triangle. I don't think we're necessarily bottoming out with this one. It looks like we're continuing to test this $1 area, and as I mentioned before, whenever we continue to hammer a particular area, whether it be to the upside or the downside, with more frequency, we tend to end up going through that level. So I think for me, I'm a little bit concerned about this one losing $1. I don't think this has bottomed. I don't think it is bottoming. If it is showing signs of reversal, we're going to need to see some recapture of the 20 and 50-day SMAs and hold above them this time, not just trade above it and then lose it the same day or the next day, but actually start closing above those two moving averages. To me right now, this looks like it still could go lower.
Yeah, this to me looks like a temporary defense of that $1 level that you outlined, 13. And you know what? If we continue to have these bounces higher resolve with lower highs, I would agree with you. I think inevitably that $1 is going to get tested and see if it moves to the downside. That's NXXT. Good stuff.
BDSX now testing the pushing through the $8 area. It was just above it a moment ago. It's looking for
I love this.
Some higher prints.
I love this. Look at this. Big Dave here. Out BDSX. Made my money today. Nice little move there. Happened quick. Right. Big Dave, you're going to get a register ring for that. Dave is done for the day. Well done, Dave.
Perfect.
Short day for you. Good stuff.
Good BDSX stuff. Still going. Wants that 826 pre-market high.
And then Gex here saying, does anyone notice the negative correlation action happening between Apple and SPY? So I think what he's talking about is just today, right? Correct me if I'm wrong here, Gex. Here's what you're seeing on the S&P. Remember, we talked about the futures being under pressure ahead of today's open. They're paring back some of those losses here. Apple, however, if we take a look at the Apple chart, not really the same here today. So Apple's still doing an all right job holding 257. Remember, we had discussed 260 as being a potential area to hold here. I think it's kind of going through its process of deciding, is it going to hold here, or is this head and shoulders that we identified going to resolve the stock lower? So that's something else you have here, Gex. We do have this head and shoulders that we identified. We'll see. 260 seems to be that key level there on Apple. I know we're at 258 here, but the 260 area.
So getting a mention here from Kathy about Dawn. It's a biotech company. Thanks for bringing this one up. Looks kind of interesting.
That's DAWN, like the soap, right?
That's it. Or the time that we trade. So this one got some news this morning, pretty good news, but this is also another one that's going to be presenting at the 44th JP Morgan Annual Healthcare Conference. So definitely keep this one on your radar. Great. I think this is preliminary reports on their revenue for Agenda. So there's probably some more news coming, but they also are rumored to be merging or acquiring another company. Keep this one on your radar. I don't think this one is quite finished for the week,
Okay.
but I don't know that I'd be necessarily buying it up here. I just think there's some future catalysts coming up this week that we want to keep an eye on.
Okay. And Kathy, I know that you've been following a lot of these biotechs here. Do you have anything to add there on Dawn that the group might find helpful? Let me know. Yeah. Also, Archer, which we were just talking about, this pulled back to its VWAP so far, trying to bounce off of that VWAP. We'll see if that materializes. I have that VWAP down there at 901.
Oh, man. BDSX. So we broke that pre-market high and came back in. 846 now the current session high.
Okay.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful.
BDSX, good stuff out of the gate here from the group. You just love to see it.
Oh, yeah.
Amazon looks like that did trade up towards 248. So it looks like 248 might be a key level there. And Bitcoin, which we've talked about being a risk on versus risk off indicator here, so far holding 90,000 on the futures chart. That's BTC.
Okay, so Earth UFO, great name for bringing up the space.
Awesome name.
So he's talking about another space name. This is Satellogic. It's also up today, just shy of 5%. But a lot of the space names are doing really, really well today. Of the ones that are not green are going to be Fly Aerospace, FLY, Iridium Communications, IRDM, Sidus Space, which has been going through a whole bunch of bullish activity. SIDU, that's down today 2.6%. Sirius XM, that's down 2.3%. And Voyager Technologies down 1.57%.
Okay. And really quickly here, we did have a poll earlier. Those results are in. What is your take on the Department of Justice subpoena and threat of indictment of Fed Chair Powell? 30% of you said political pressure on the Fed. Another 30% of you said it's overreach and a dangerous precedent. 22 of you said unsure, need more info, and 18% of you said justified accountability. So actually looks like a pretty good distribution and pretty good participation in that poll. Really appreciate it. The one thing I would ask is that if you voted in the poll, please also hit the thumbs up like button on our stream and help us exploit the algorithm.
Oh, man. BDSX still going. We're gonna take out some of these highs from November and December. Getting pretty close to that. As a matter of fact, we're actually hitting them. If we do continue higher, we have the 200-day EMA at 993.
Okay, so your next area there, 993 maybe.
Yeah, could be. Could also see a little bit of resistance at 950 before that, but yeah, those would be the next couple of areas I'd be looking for.
Also here, so I'm taking a look at Rocket. Remember, we had some of these mortgage origination stocks move higher last week on some of the news, especially about investment companies not able to buy single family homes. This is actually, so Rocket here really looks like this 23 and a quarter to 2350 is some pretty significant resistance. Here's what it looks like on the daily chart. We did just set a newer high there. We'll see if we can maybe take a break and move higher here on Rocket. So far here, this down by just shy of 2% here today. JP
Morgan gave it a neutral rating and it gave it a $24 price target. I don't think they've really spoken too much about Rocket, so this kind of is a little significant. Fed is independent for a reason. That's true. That's true. I don't think this is. I mean, I saw that Powell put out a statement. I watched it and I was like, oh man, just when I thought I had everything dialed in for tomorrow, we got this. So
yeah, I was I didn't have it, to borrow Brian's comment from earlier. I certainly didn't have it on my bingo card. 13. I'll tell you this. My initial thought watching that is there any mechanism that allows him to stay later than May for spite?
No, I think he's just going to probably cause problems. That's just a guess. Total.
Yeah,
guess.
To me, I think one of the other things that we talked about is it'd be very interesting to see if we even sniff a rate cut prior to him leaving. I would imagine, I guess, and I know I'm just reacting to this. Things can really change. My guess would be probably no rate cuts until he's out at this point.
I kind of would lean on that for now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking there.
BDSX 908 current high, still trying to hold above 9, trading just slightly beneath it at the moment.
At least we had a nice winner hooked from the movers list here today.
Oh, yeah.
BDSX giving us that pretty much any one of those prices there. You could have even been a little late to this one and still been paid pretty well.
Hello, Amanda. Good morning.
Good morning, Amanda. SanDisk getting asked about here as well. SanDisk, more new highs here. So this was also weaker in the pre-market along with the rest of the market. But man, oh man, SanDisk now up by 3.6%, extending its gains here. I would wonder how some of the other memory chips look like that with Western Digital, Seagate, and Micron. Now, Micron 13, we talked a little bit about this. We also talked about the new ETF MUD as being a potential vehicle here for shorting this. And I think you actually gave a possible price target for Micron. So you want to talk about that since we're talking about the memory chips now.
Pull up the chart.
You got it. Let me actually pull. I'm going to leave it on the 5-minute on this smaller chart. Let me go to my bigger chart and I'll pull Micron up on a daily. We'll start there.
In happy hour chat. Because I don't know if you can actually see back as far as 1995, but that's important because we've got a bit of a trend line to draw.
I do. So I've got this back to 95. Yep. So I think I do. I think you're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
And then you're going to talk about this and look at that. So, okay. So I think, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here, I think what we're thinking is this long-term trend line, good Lord, 2-decade, 3-decade trend line here. This looks like this tops out around 360.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. 360, and maybe that's a great time to start going long on MUD. It's interesting because those two earlier peaks from the 1990s, or actually one of them is from 95, the other's from 2000. What was going on during that time? Anything ring a bell? Oh yeah, we had the .com bubble. So this is a trend line from the .com whole situation. And now that we've come up to that trend line, it kind of makes you wonder, or you tell me what you think about that. You think this is where you want to keep going? Do you think we're going to trade a whole lot higher initially when we get to 360? I'm a little skeptical of that. I think this maybe should give us a short-term top here.
Now, here's just as a caveat to that. First of all, the trend line's great, but the caveat here is I will say no again. 13, I will agree with you, but I must say I kind of thought that right here. And I know we got a little bit of a pullback to the 50-day. That didn't last long before we set some new highs. So, yeah, I mean, this is not a place that I would be buying here. I would rather have this come in. I would rather trade for that too. The 360 spot looks pretty good.
Well, Kevin, we'll find out if that's the case or not. This is not the only one I've ever observed where we have a long-term trend line and it still ended up working out.
And Joe asking, are trend lines over such a vast period of time really significant? You know what? I'll tell you what, Joe, why don't you put that question in your back pocket and ask Mark Petrino about that on Friday? He routinely shows charts from the Dow and the SPY going back to the early 1900s. Yeah. And his big takeaway from that is that it's actually the psychology that you're viewing in the chart. So I would argue that the psychology back in 1995 was similar to where it is here today. And the chart is just manifesting that.
Yeah, I mean, if it helps, you can look at it on a weekly chart or a monthly chart. I mean, what's the point of doing trend lines on any of these longer term charts if we're not going to, line these peaks or these troughs up? I think this is certain. I think 360 is certainly going to be a spot that Micron sees significant selling. And if you look at a monthly chart, I think that's kind of speaks to that even more. We don't get we're over 80 RSI. Actually, we're over 86 RSI on a monthly chart. We don't go too much higher on a monthly chart than this. So I'm thinking that we're getting pretty close. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it really is a great guide in giving us an ability to identify an exit.
And it's a really good mention there because the reality is that none of these drawings, whether it's a head and shoulders, an inverse head and shoulders, a trend line, or any of that, none of them are a guarantee. Nothing is set in stone. Amanda from the chat here saying if people follow trend lines, then the trend lines will indicate behavior. And I would completely agree with that.
And Amanda with another great point. Remember, we have algos responsible for a lot of the market volume, and they use them. I mean, these are just computer programs that are seeing the same thing I am. We all are. So absolutely they work. Yeah.
And the way that I view drawings here is these are more just kind of supplemental and helpful things to identify maybe key areas on the chart where the stock price is going to behave a little bit differently. What it's going to end up doing at any of those spots, we've your guess is as good as mine. We've seen it go in both directions. We're just trying to align as many things as we can to help us out. I like this trend line here, 13. I like the long-term one. All right, Diz, I see Scott here mentioning that UMAC is knifing. A lot of these bigger movers that we were talking about are knifing, especially the drone names. So here's your UMAC one. Ondas not immune either, just doing the same thing, although it's still higher than where it opened and higher than the close. Looks like 15 was the resistance area again. But it's not just the drone names. Archer also doing something similar here after its pretty big move out of the gate.
Joe, you're 100% correct with this, and I have said that I think Micron could end up being another Nvidia. Like it could go along the course of Nvidia, where it continues to just keep going up and up and up. Maybe they split, and then it continues to go up some more. I'm looking at this 360 area as a resistance that's going to see selling, and once that whole period of selling is done, then and the RSI has come back in, and we're getting some bottoming action. Then I think it could end up going through the trend line, but. The first thing, this is our first visit up here, and I think this is going to be where this first big move that's taking us up here is where we're going to see the selling start to kick in. At some point, there's going to be profit taking. I think it's going to be around 360. But to your point about this longer term, I think that's absolutely correct because I think Micron, being that they have all their HBM bought up for the next year, is going to provide a lot of tailwinds for the company on the fundamental side. Absolutely, but the chart is showing me that I think we're going to see some selling around 360.
And I mean, when you have a chart that is just moving up, any area that tells you where a possible reversal is something worth note. CoreWeave, we talked about CoreWeave and cores earlier today in the news segment. CoreWeave up, straight up out of the gate, by the way. And on the daily chart, this actually looks pretty good. If this can get back above 90, maybe we're cooking here. That's CoreWeave, currently at $87.
And I still think that this whole AI theme is going to be a super cycle that goes into the 2030s. I don't think we're anywhere near being done yet, but we are going to see a lot of back and forth. And I just think that 360 level in Micron is where we're going to see some of that back before we get some more forth.
Yeah, totally agree with you on that. Still looking for anything terribly interesting here on the options.
Looks like EVTV finally getting one of its, I think maybe the second green candle of its day on the 5-minute. Volume has really gone down though, so I'm not sure that this is necessarily going to come back up and recapture VWAP. Hasn't been able to do that all session.
I actually have VWAP here at 102 on this, and it looks like that's going to try and test it and stay above it. I don't know if it's going to happen though. I will say that the wicks above don't look great here, EVTV.
No. BDSX though, that's putting in a 908 high. It's looking like it's still trying to get back over 9. Let's see what else. Speaking of trend lines, Broadcom still struggling with that one that we drew earlier.
AVGO.
Yeah. And just kind of
that went literally right to it and struggled with it. You're not kidding about that.
BDSX, I just still waiting for this to get back over 9. Maybe this is it needs a little bit of cooling off, but I mean, because the RSI is pretty extended here on the 5-minute. We're looking at 83 RSI, so probably does have to come back in towards VWAP first.
Okay. See what else. IMSR, this is one that we had talked about recently. This thing had a pretty nasty pullback there, but a nice reversal around the $8 level. Actually, more like 8.25 here. IMSR, we talked about this the day that it initially popped back here, Tuesday, January 6th. Get in there, 13. I'm sorry.
Amanda, if it does go to 400, then that trend line, that's going to be support. So if it does blow past it, we go to 400, that's going to be a support trend line then.
BABA still continuing its move higher here on volume. This now up 8.2% here today. BABA.
Looks like we're getting a lot of pull here in the market.
SPY, the index is not showing it here. So SPY, Qs, these are all hovering right around unchanged. They basically pared back some of the losses that they had earlier today. Dow looks to be the weakest, down 0.39%. Rich Tech Robotics, Ed asking about Rich Tech. Remember, ticker RR here. They actually presented at CES. I haven't done the full breakdown on CES. I actually saved a couple of articles that I wanted to read, but with the football this weekend, yeah, I didn't get to that. RR here, this is fairly interesting here. To me, 4 absolutely seems like a critical level here. I just don't know what's gonna end up taking it above 4. It is worth noting that on the daily chart, this is what it looks like. So it's kind of like a series of lower highs here. Let me actually draw a trend line on this. I'm going to kind of eyeball it. We're above the trend line now on RR, but that would be one to kind of review what they covered there at CES. Drone pullback continues here. Ondas giving back almost everything that it had here out of the gate. Hopefully we were talking about not chasing that one.
What I like about Rich Tech Robotics and that trend line that you have there, I also have that trend line. So we had a breakout through that on Thursday, and that took us over the 50-day SMA, and we've still held above it. As long as we continue holding above the 50-day SMA, I think that we're going to see some more moves to the upside. It's going to have to take us through 4, which is currently the big resistance area. But if that does happen, then the next resistance I see is going to be around 475.
Okay, here you go. That trend line. Look at that. It really, really obeyed that. Okay, good stuff on that. Indeed, Baba still trading higher here. Lam Research, we saw this move higher there on Friday. Looks like it actually tried to extend its gains here today. Lam 220 seems to be the stop. That's ticker LRCX, by the way.
Oh, wow. What's is this all-time highs for Lam Research? Looks like it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this one had an interesting multi-year trend line that when it broke out of it, it just took off. I started this one back from 2016 through the April 2021 high and the July 2024 highs. So that big trend line, we had a breakout, it became support, we're off.
So I think that's basically through this 2024 July. So I think you had it, you might have had a previous day here, but this, come on. There we go. There we go. And then here, I see it.
Yeah.
I'll extend that as needed, LRCX.
BDSX still trying to take that next leg up. Running into trouble around 9. INBS almost down to its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. This is the one that we were kind of skeptical of it getting back up to over 40 again. Certainly, it has not been able to do that. VWAP still suppressing it. It's continuing to move lower. Maybe that gets support around $20.
Yeah, VWAP told the story here. We just simply did not have the strength to move through it at any point in the morning. Now we're going to test some of those areas lower. 2025 is your 200 EMA on the 5-minute. This also lines up pretty decently with the pre-market low right down there, about 2040. All right, seeing some more BABA calls getting purchased here. These are the 170 calls. So these are upside calls on that. BABA's still strong here, all buying volume. What a rip. This now up almost 9% out of the gate here. Silver, that's ticker SLV here. That was the iShares. This is also higher here. Looks like this is trying to take out maybe 77.5. SLVR. That is the ETF from Sprott. We talked with Steve here this morning. This actually a little bit better performance.
Amazing that we hit 85 in spot prices of silver.
The reversal in some of these earlier movers here extending, so not even turning around. Here's what Archer looks like. This thing turned completely around. This has now gone green to red. Same deal here with Ondas. What a pull on this. This also green to red. This went right back above 15, right to that 1530, and it has totally reversed. This is all turned into selling volume. If we go to the daily chart, I will say these wicks above, less than ideal here. So we did set some new highs here. Let's see if Ondas pulls back. I would actually like to see 12 hold.
Broadcom getting some support from VWAP. If we don't get another move that takes us up and over that trend line and we start finally closing above it, I think we could end up losing VWAP. And if that happens, the downside levels I have for support are going to be 347.50. And I also like, let's see, I also like 46 and 44, 344.50. So thank you, KST. I've been getting that a lot this morning. Appreciate it.
Yeah, 13. I think you did make the. I think you did make a good move there. Let me ask you. I know it's early, but does it feel better? Is it less work? Is it less itch? Anything like that?
There's a point when it's growing that it goes through like an itchy phase.
Mm-hmm.
We're before that now, but before I cut it, I was well past that, so it wasn't really a problem. Now, I mean, it's it is what it is. But the kids don't like it. They want me to grow it back, so it's going to come back. It's easier to put lotion on my face, I guess. That's about the only real big difference.
I remember back in the mid 2000s when the Hawks went on a number of their playoff runs, I would join the team for No Shave November. And then I would just, in some cases, just let the beard keep going there, depending on if my job would allow it or not at the time. I will say I know that itchy phase that you're talking about. I actually would use shampoo and or conditioner, and that would actually give some relief occasionally. But in any case, very nice look, Daniel. I agree.
Thank you, everybody. Is there any way to? Here's a question for you from Kevin.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So is there any way to remove the AI generated news articles? You would have to discern what categories there are. You could do that with categories. Generally, what I do, Kevin, is that if you're really looking to limit a news feed, my biggest suggestion is using some of the technical scanner filters like price, market cap, things like that to limit the news. And then from there, layer on keywords ahead of it or keywords on top of that. That generally is a fairly easy way to remove what you're trying to, but there's no we don't classify news as junk AI news. So there's no one click to remove that.
I appreciate all the compliments, guys. I think what we could do in the future is maybe have a little fun with it. When the beard does grow out again, we can tie it to some other event that sees it shaved off if it doesn't go the way I think it's going to go. Or we can tie it to likes too. We could do that as well.
Ooh, now we're talking. So one of the other things that I'm waiting for here, World Cup pick.
Oh yeah,
World Cup pick, and we'll see if maybe we have some event around there.
Looking for that. Looking towards that too. BDSX though, this is an interesting little setup we have here. Could be bull flagging. We are above VWAP still, starting to gain a little bit of momentum to the upside. We'll see if more buyers come in, but looking like we could get a bullish setup here. Just need to get a little bit more volume. Volume's going to be the key at this point. Do a goatee. Hey, I had a lot of fun cutting this off, going through all the different looks. At one point I had the goatee was pretty long, and I turned to my wife and I said, "How do you like the Doctor Strange look?" I mean, there was a lot. We had a lot of good times just cutting this off and goofing around. I should have probably taken pictures, but I'm only looking to haze myself so much. Yeah, that's a good question. Has anybody seen smoked tuna lately?
I see him. He wished me congratulations on Andas and a happy new year. I see him on Twitter.
Nice. Yeah, he had a good tuna AI. To the Bills Super Bowl. It'd be cool to see the Bills get their first Super Bowl win. I'm not necessarily sure that they're going to make it. I actually thought that the Jaguars were going to get one up on them, but they beat them. All right, let's see what's looking good here. Looks like EVTV is over its VWAP, so that's one thing we needed to see here. Looked like this was breaking down, got support from about 104, recaptured VWAP. Now we're starting to trade above it. Current high of the session is 131. We are getting some support from that VWAP as well in Broadcom. So far, it's held up, but volume is waning away. Looks like it's trying to go for another test of that trend line. Then what else? OM potentially trying to turn around here. Needs volume in that one as well. Not too many good looking stocks to trade right now.
No, I'll tell you what, we had that like little flurry around the open. Things kind of pared back here. And in fact, taking a look at the broader market here, let me pull up Spot. We'll give you a visual on that. Here's what the broader market looks like. So we had a nice little move right out of the open. This kind of pared back some of the weakness that we saw ahead of the open. But again, no extension, no move higher here. Still in the red here today.
Yes, G-Man, Broncos. Broncos are in the AFC. I thought it'd be interesting to see. That's right. We're talking about Buffalo. I thought we were talking about the opposite side, like the 49ers, because Izzy was saying 49ers were injured so bad. 49ers I liked going into these playoffs. I think they look pretty good enough to go to the NFC championship game, but I don't know what the outcome of that going to be. I'm really keeping an eye on Denver. Offense is something to be desired, but their defense super tough.
Yeah, right now, extremely tough.
Right now, being that the Packers are out, Texans all the way.
There you go. That game's tonight. So I got a stat of the month for you. You ready for this? Speaking of the game tonight, Mike Tomlin is 22-3 when playing on Monday nights. And furthermore, he's 12-0 when playing on Monday nights at home, like the game is tonight. So something big is going to happen here tonight.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most winningest coaches in NFL history.
Yeah, he is. He's never had a losing season, which as a Bears fan is just not even fathomable. not even fathomable. All right. EOSC, this was moving here earlier. Okay, so this did actually lose the VWAP, but got supported by the 15 EMA. We'll see if we get a VWAP recapture here. That's right around $16. Oh, and folks, don't forget, speaking of today, I know we're going here another 14 minutes for us today before we wrap up. We also do have Trader Bacon at 11. There's going to have some more there for you. TEM, by the way, we had talked about that one earlier here. TEM looks like the highs so far there were in the pre-market, 83% year-over-year growth in revenue.
Broadcom back up at that trend line, trying to get over it. So far, not able to, but it's trying. Oh, she's trying. Tempest losing the 65 EMA. Yeah, that's. Yeah. I don't know that we're done necessarily to the downside with this one. Could end up going to the 200 EMA before we see a reversal. Just not a lot of interesting looking stuff at the moment.
No, there really isn't. And actually, I really haven't seen anything crazy here off the options scanner either.
Thanks, Jay. That's funny. Like my haircut, he likes a chart that's bullish, high and tight.
Okay.
EVTV trying to make that next push for 130. That's kind of been the level it's been gunning for all morning. If we can't get it here, I think we lose VWAP.
Alpha Trade saying ANF is interesting. Abercrombie, this is one that we've looked at a number of times here. I think this kind of fell out of favor, but you think it looks interesting here again. Abercrombie, Alpha, do you like this maybe kind of holding the $100 level here? Abercrombie down almost 19% here today. So let's see. Provides fourth quarter and fiscal year outlook update. Market does not like this.
Jeez.
It looks like they took the top end of their EPS range down.
It's kind of an interesting spot that they're getting support. So you have the 50-day SMA, which is at 98, and then you have that $100 psychological level that's also was formerly resistance and looks to be support right now. So, excuse me. This looks like this could be an interesting spot here. I'm kind of on board with this. The spot here. We did get a golden cross last month. First time we've had the 50 and the 200-day SMA touch cross each other since December of 2024. So let's just see what happens here. Let's see if we can hold above this 50-day SMA and start moving back up towards the 500.
And actually, on the daily chart here, I have this trading right down to the 65 EMA and holding right there. So, Aura, is this Alpha, my bad. Is this a short-term trade? Do you like this for maybe a swing off a support level here? What do you like about this exact spot for your trade?
Okay, so BDSX still coming down to the VWAP. It's at that spot right now. Broadcom still getting rejected from that trend line. EVTV about to hit 131. There it is. 132 now. Trying to push a little bit higher. 135.
Tell you what, this was actually not bad too. This pullback down to the VWAP ended up not being bad for EVTV. Grats to anyone on that one.
That recapture,
good stuff.
Yeah, that recapture above the VWAP and then holding above it, just what it needed.
Alpha here, regarding the ANF trade that we just talked about there, I will do both short and long term. Are you using options for one and stock for the other or anything like that? Or are you just basically adding, good to know, short and long term view on that?
All right. I appreciate it, Jane. She says that my shave knocked her internet power out.
Yeah, you broke the internet. Yeah, she wouldn't be the only one, 13.
Oh, knock
Good time to remind everybody that 13 is married, apparently.
Yeah. I'm going to go tell my wife all about this.
Oh, your wife might side with your kids then.
Just so there's no surprises. All right, looks like EVTV's getting a little bit of resistance around 140. 139 is the high.
APL, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say APLD here looks like this is a little bit of continuation off the pretty big move that we had last week. It's Applied Digital from the AI trade. That is continuing here.
Yeah, looks like there's a lot of sellers in the way for EVTV with some of the largest being up around 150.
Dara says, I got into EVTV and fell asleep. Now I'm up 90%. Well, that nap looked like that paid pretty well. What's the close? How are you getting out of that trade? You might be up, but not until you realize those gains. Still don't see anything crazy here on the options flow. Meta looks like that popped out of the gate, pretty much came right back to where it was at.
That's all freaking. BDSX, yeah, we were just looking at that one. Oh, so this one just lost its VWAP. So it's still having some downside pressure. It's at the pre-market level where it was getting some resistance. So if it doesn't reverse here, it's probably done for the day.
BDSX, at least that gave us a trade early today.
Yeah. Have we looked at PayPal? No, we haven't.
No, we haven't. PayPal's actually lower here today. Google, by the way, did this have news? You guys are saying the Google news? Apple's picks Google's Gemini to run AI-powered Siri coming later this year. We talked about that in the news segment. Dan Ives, or in the street tweet segment, excuse me, that was one of Dan Ives' key 4 keys for Apple moving to its $350 price target, what they do with Siri and the AI there. So looks like Google's Gemini is going to power that. Also, Alphabet's price target raised to $350 from $268. That was at Wells Fargo.
PayPal, it looks like 56 is the next support area, and if we lose that, it could be pretty bad. Back in February of 2024 and April of 2025, this has been the area where it's been getting support. So if we come down here and it can't hold up, man, maybe we go to 54, 52. Those would be the next downside levels beyond 56 that I see.
Yeah, when we have talked about PayPal, the downside levels have always been the same as of recently. It's first been 60, which this thing has given up, and then it's been this level that you were just talking about down here, 56 to 57-ish. Tell you what, like I've said before, I like the product. I use it a lot. I still use it today. I've wanted to trade this thing, but man, oh man, this thing is really heavy. It cannot get out of its own way, and any upside pops here were sold. Imagine somebody chasing PayPal at 78 after that recent pop. Where what, 2 months later, thing is down 20 points. Just
let's look at a longer time frame. I'm going to see something here. Man, that is just what happened what happened in 2021? I guess,
I think part of this was the fallout that people thought PayPal, COVID, pandemic, all of that, and then reality set back in.
So that must have been, that whole stay-at-home trade unwinding.
Yeah, and Joe here, this is highlighting something that we had talked about quite a bit recently. Steve Eisman had some good insight on PayPal on his recent podcast. Basically, first on the scene, and it had that advantage, but there's just too much competition now. And this has been a common theme that our group has discussed both here and in the morning on PayPal. We've listed them. Cash App, Venmo, anything connected to Bitcoin, pretty much all these different things competing now with PayPal. What really sets it apart? And for me, you're talking here about the first mover advantage. That's why I have my account with PayPal. That's why I still have it. What other advantages are there?
I'm trying to, Venmo is owned by PayPal, so I'm still, kind of wondering why they're separate. I never really looked into why they are, and they're not just, going under one umbrella. But it's not something I even am really that interested in looking into. So it's going to remain a mystery to me for now. Hey, be nice, guys. Be nice.
ABAT, some question here from Supric regarding some levels here from ABAT. I know we've talked about this one kind of being in the battery theme that we had discussed for 2026. I think we did discuss a level of around 4. I know we have the makeshift here of kind of a janky head and shoulders. I don't know how great I feel about this. I think 4 and 6 were the recent key levels that we had on this one. 13, I don't know, maybe you still have some of them left on your chart.
Oh, let's see here what I got with ABAT. Running into some trouble with $5, it looks like. So what's interesting about $5 is if you look at what was going on in 2025, we had a really nice move that took us up over 10. And then when we came back in, $5 was a support area. And it was a support area for, looks like several days. And then we had a big move down in November, at the beginning of November. And we haven't been able to recapture it since. So $5, big resistance area, followed by $5.50. I guess it looks like every 50 cents up, there's a resistance area. So every 50 cents from $5, resistance.
Okay, there he is on ABAT.
Take care, Zach.
Take care of yourself and anyone that's filing out here. Glad we were able to accommodate with the new time. It seems like this is really the time that works best for everybody. So again, big time shout out to our team, 13, the producer behind the scenes, and everyone else that's involved in that. And of course, the viewers for giving us your feedback. As far as Chewy goes here, Chewy's actually having a decent day, up 4.2% here, but we're basically right back to a consolidation area. I would really want to see this trade back above the 200-day. I don't have the 200 simple moving average on this chart, but that value is 37.42. I'll mark it here right on the chart about where it is. You'll also notice that this area was a previous support area that got broken, right? So it's great that Chewy's moving up off of this support here today, but I would really want to see it capture that 37.5-ish area for some more upside.
EVTV. That's making more highs. 149, looking for 150 now, where that seller I was mentioning earlier is in the way. Let's see if there's enough volume to take them out.
Another register ring for anyone in the group that was on EVTV today. I was not, but if you traded this one here today, this had actually a nice pullback to the VWAP and a move higher there. Looking pretty good as this continues to pound the highs.
BDSX, on the other hand, this thing continues lower. Next support's going to be probably down at 7, where the 65 EMA is.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, since we're already kind of doing it, let's just start the wrap-up segment. Day trader, take care of yourself. We'll start right here with BDSX. Pretty good mover right out of the open. This thing did take out the pre-market highs. The VWAP recapture here was pretty good for the trade trigger. Looks like the trade is done now. On the backside of this move, volume seems to be compressing. We've given up some of those key areas. What do you think here on BDSX 13 for the rest of the day?
Yeah, I mean, if there is going to be any other trades in this, it's coming down to some support areas that are going to have to hold up. Otherwise, I think it is going to be finished. You have the $7 level that looks to be the next strong resistance area, and if we don't hold up there and reverse, then I think we are going to continue lower, maybe even beyond the 200 EMA. Here we are, as we're looking at this, it's continuing to go lower. So that's that's one thing with BDSX. This has got to find some support here pretty soon.
Okay, I'm going to take a quick sec here. Shout out Day Trader. Closed a 25x levered long soul trade in 2 hours. Not bad indeed, Day Trader. No wonder you're having a great day here. Register ring for our guy. Have a great rest of your Monday. Okay, the next stock on the wrap-up list here is going to be EVTV. This one doesn't look like it's wrapped up here as we continue to pound new highs just from a couple of seconds ago. 13, we had a nice little pullback to the VWAP, bounce and a move higher. What do you got for this?
I'm trying to recall what that figure I gave when we were looking at this before the open was. I believe it was 160, or it might have been 150, somewhere in there, because this is where there's a lot of sideways consolidation and therefore resistance. So probably going to see some selling here pretty soon. I think we may have already started to see some of that. But this is about where we should see some more selling pressure come in here. And if we do continue to get that, I would say that this is going to come down to around 125 to 130 for support. I don't know if it's going to hold up there, but that's the next area where I see the support should be continue to come in some more.
Okay, good stuff. Next one from our list here is OM. This is Outset Medical. This made 2 legs higher here this morning. Gave back the second one, and in the process of bottoming still, maybe it catches some support down there at the 65 EMA. That value down at 517. With the volume compressing and really kind of drying up here, at least now, maybe put this on the back burner, but for right now, this kind of looks done. 13, any thoughts on ticker OM?
Maybe keep this one on your radar for a trade later. It does look like it's trying to bottom. It certainly is getting some support around the 525 area. Momentum is starting to swing in the other direction a little bit here. So let's see if it can get back above 575. That's just beneath my VWAP. And then if it can do that, we'll want to see a recapture of the VWAP. And then after that, $6. Those will be the next upside resistance areas I see that if we're going to continue to go up, we need to recapture those particular levels.
Okay, next one from our movers list here today was INBS. This is Intelligent Biosolutions, probably one of the bigger disappointments on this low float stock. We gave back the entire impulse move. We really struggled with the VWAP throughout the rest of the pre-market. The regular session changed nothing for us here. We could not get above the VWAP. The stock rolled over on more selling volume. We actually did take out the pre-market low. The closing price here, about 1836. That would probably be our next spot. 13, anything here on INBS?
It appears we just recently bounced off the highs from Friday. This had a lot of sideways price action in the regular session and the after hours on Friday. And it appears that the price, not about 15 minutes ago, just might have caught some of that those highs as support. So we'll see if this can start recapturing some levels. I don't have the greatest amount of confidence that it is, but let's say it does. The resistance areas to the upside are going to be 2150, the 65 EMA, and VWAP, especially the VWAP that has been suppressing the price action to the upside all morning ever since it lost that level.
Okay, absolutely fantastic. And the last one here is going to be TEM. This is Tempus AI. These were trading higher after the company reported preliminary 2025 revenue, which was up 83% year over year. Unfortunately, it looks like the pre-market was about the high. I think this thing did pop to 76 right around the open, but really had no carry through. Now it's trading back down here. We'll see if it holds 70. 13, you have any key levels here for TEM?
I think you said it. 70 looks to be about the most key level there is. Right. If you look at Friday's price action, and especially in the pre-market, 70 is about where you were running into resistance. And then today we broke through that, and now we're going to need to test it as support because that has been the kind of the breakout spot. So $70 support. If we don't get it, it's probably going to be a pretty steep fall beyond 70.
Okay, really good stuff. 13, once again, really kind of crazy week. This year has started off with a bang. We've got more of it here. Now we've got clean shaven, but still married 13. 13, any closing words for the group?
I love you guys. Thank you so much for all the compliments on me cutting my beard off. It'll grow back. We can do this all over again, and we'll see how young I look when that happens again. So until then, folks, thanks again. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
All right, 13, take care. Good work as always. And as a reminder, I will keep doing it. As a reminder, the happy hour chat room is open all the time, and we will have our happy hours at night. Folks, that is it here for today. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Thanks for joining us. Trader Bacon coming up at 11. Enjoy the rest of your